panel. And we've got here today Ben Ibrahim from Malaysia, from Kuala Lumpur, and a little bit about the show and a little bit about Ben as a prologue. Today we're into the second week of the show, the prolonged pandemic. And I think we're doing something good, something right. You could come on live at this hour, 9 p.m. Singapore time, from Tuesday to Sunday, or you can always log onto our replays, or in a digital world of the YouTube and the podcast is there for infinity. So anyone who's logging on any day, today is the 12th of February, the first day of the Lunar New Year, the year of the ox, and hopefully we've got a bull run of success to control the situation of COVID-19, which I do not know. It's in the hands of God. I think it's out of the hands of the scientists, but let us pull ourselves together. For this prolonged pandemic series, is dedicated to people out there, dedicated to people like Ben, a father, dedicated to the mom, Ben's wife, dedicated to the kids who are struggling with the online computer. My hearts go out to these kids, right, Ben? We've talked about that a little bit in the past, but you can talk about your kids, and it seems that the theme of yesterday, this week, everybody was talking about children and how hard it was to have children in the home and to keep their attention in front of the computer without their friends. And for the viewers and listeners and followers out there, please share the videos. And we're not doing this for money. I mean, Ben, myself, and the whole international panel of co-hosts from America, Central America, Pakistan, Mexico, Malaysia, and we're having more and more co-hosts coming on board from different parts of America, from California to Texas, to Pittsburgh, and to North Carolina, etc. So you've got a group of people who love the people of the world, and who have the heart that, hey, we all should come together, share our love, share our message to the strangers in the world. Someone who's out there, they would need a message like this to let them know that we hear you, we feel your pain, we feel your struggles, and we feel that your sense of uncertainty, your sense of like trying to feel in the dark. I think a lot of us have this theme throughout our episodes in the past, is that we're all trying to feel in the dark, in this tunnel. The tunnel, we think we saw light, but that light was just an illusion. We think we saw light, that was just hallucination. So I think February special, even though we say this in light banter, but the message is serious, the subject matters are serious. We hope to bring you a little bit of banter in such times of seriousness. And for today, we've got Ben and a little bit about his show, Headlines and Bottomlines. You bring with us what's going on in his life in that part of the world, in Malaysia or in Southeast Asia, and have a little bit of a session whereby we can have a bilateral conversation. And his show, from Ben, from the heart, from the gut, and I love that from him. You can have total honesty. We know that coming from Ben. And I think it's such a blessing we have the viewers and the listeners, for Ben and all the co-hosts to be sharing their life stories captured in this series, The Prolonged Pandemic. We hear you. So Ben, would you like to say hi, and how are you back there in KL?
Hey everybody. Hey Vicky. Hello to everybody around the world, where we are around the universe, really. So it's been interesting. I mean, it's good to see that you still come on every night with the international guests.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's nothing monetary about this. Everybody's just very passionate about sharing the love and sharing the news.
Yes.
About what's going on in the respective parts of the world. So
yeah.
No, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Vicky. I mean, you ask the questions, I'll answer them, because I mean, I don't mean to sound like a bore, but there's nothing much really happening here in KL that's not happening in Europe, that's not happening in North America. I suppose the only two countries that I know of that is relatively life back to normal, but with great caution, is New Zealand and Australia, who have, well, Australia didn't handle the pandemic very well last year. Malaysia did a better job. But New Zealand got it down pretty quickly. Life is back to normal there. Australia is pretty okay. And yeah, I mean, people are asking me about the pandemic in KL, and I have to say, sorry, it's not getting any better.
It doesn't get any better. But you know, Ben, now today is actually the first day of the Lunar New Year. What's happening there in Malaysia?
To all our viewers who celebrate Chinese New Year, Kong Hei Fa Choi or Kong Si Fa Choi, depending on which part of the world you're from, say it differently. In Malaysia, we have various dialects on how to say it, because we have the Hokkien speaking community, we have the Mandarin speaking community, we've got the Cantonese speaking community, and the non-Chinese community. Sometimes we're a bit, we forget how is the best way to say it, Kong Si Fa Chai or Kong Hei Fa Chai. So, but I have a lot of Malaysian Chinese friends, and I'll just say either one suffices, because you know it's all about the good wishes. But to answer your question, Vicky, a lot of people in Malaysia have made noise because the government said you cannot have a Chinese New Year reunion dinner, and that is the tradition of many Chinese families, that one night before Chinese New Year, which is basically their Christmas Eve, which was yesterday, you cannot go back to your parents' home in your respective hometowns and celebrate, because the borders are closed, and that's
The borders are still closed.
That's just inviting a lot of people to one house, and you never know where, you don't know where people have been. So
you don't know where they've been. Right, that's right.
You're creating a cluster within a cluster, really. So but then the government did say, okay, you can go to the wet markets. The wet markets, for people who are unaware what wet markets are, is basically kind of a very low down outdoor sundry shop where things are a little bit cheaper. And so like the joke that certain comedians made online is, let's have our Kong Si Fa Choi Chinese New Year reunion dinner at the wet markets. We can go to the wet markets, but we can't go see our families. So then the government came up with some new SOPs that said, okay, look, if you follow certain SOPs, you can go back and see your families, but do not have big gatherings. Yeah. So hopefully Malaysians will be more responsible, because the reason why our COVID numbers were very low last year, we were doing very well. The reason it went very high this year, I think people thought it was gone. We went back life to normal. Restaurants were full again. Schools were opening again. Businesses were saying, okay, come back to the office. And again, I've said this before and I'll say this again. COVID-19 is something that we cannot see. We don't know. We don't know the symptoms. You know, I spoke to a friend today. I won't mention his name. He is in the health line of work. He got COVID-19 because he was in contact with someone, and that wasn't his fault. It was just a little bit unlucky. And he has to practice breathing exercises every day. And he said to me, he sent a voice note to me and said, Ben, do not muck around. This is not a joke. This is not a cold or flu. He got it, and he's fit. He's very fit. You know, he followed all the SOPs. His wife got it because they were together, obviously. So you know, he's gonna see the doctor tomorrow after Chinese New Year, and hopefully things will be better. But it's a road to recovery, and he told me it's gonna take at least a couple of months.
And you know, Ben, not to, I think in order to not to scare everyone, but you know, a lot of this in 2020, when I'm reading and I follow a lot of celebrities on Instagram, you know, and the person who got it was The Rock, and he actually revealed that only when he recovered after a few weeks. And he did mention, they say that they kept themselves well, they were taking care of themselves, they wear masks, but he says this is not a joke because they suffered, he and his wife and the 2 children. He said this is not a joke. You don't get out there, and he's such a fit guy. Can you talk about The Rock? And then he was just telling everyone, don't take this as a joke, because they went through hell physically. So I just want to urge everyone, and you're right, you know, Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year isn't just celebrated in Malaysia or Singapore. China is celebrated wherever Chinese are in the world. And a little bit of the news, for Ben, about the Chinese New Year, for the last 2 weeks, crowds were just thronging the Chinatown in Singapore. The crowds, I mean, you look at the pictures, you look at the news that's being reported, it's just trying to tell you that, hey, guys, just take it easy. You don't need to go to Chinatown. If you want to celebrate, you can celebrate in a home. If you want to buy things, just buy things in a shop. You don't have to throng Chinatown. And I know people are just going there. And the truth is that for me, it's a very simple barometer. If you're going out there, spend the money to the shops. They need your spending. They need your money. That's true. But if you're just going there to soak in the atmosphere, to kind of squeeze in the crowd as before, pre-2020, then you are just hurting the people who are living there, who are mending the stores, and you're not buying $200 worth of goods and you're giving them the risk and you're squeezing them just to soak in the atmosphere. Because a lot of people, when they interview, they say, oh, we just want to soak in the atmosphere. It's just once a year. We want to do this because without this, we don't feel it's Chinese New Year. I'm just saying, hello, stop the press. I just feel like, stop the press. Do you have any understanding the world? We are in the middle of a global pandemic, mind you, ladies and gentlemen out there. I'm just urging you, and I'm just going to reiterate, we're in the middle of a global pandemic, and pandemic means global. That's why it's called a pandemic. And I think people have started to grow to be complacent. Do you have that kind of feeling, Ben? Is there that pockets of people feeling complacent?
Yeah, well, that complacency has almost died here, Vicky, because the death toll is super high. I mean, 3,318 new COVID cases today, bringing the total number of active cases of 51,500. And, we've had a record here of 17 deaths, bringing the number of deaths to 953. So those statistics will send shivers down your spine and say, gone.
And these numbers only occurred from August onwards. It kind of just spiked.
Not August.
And it went spiked and there's no return.
Yeah, no, not August, Vicky. It happened in December, November, December. It just went.
Yeah. It just gone up, right?
Because again, that like you said it the best. Complacency sunk in, it's gone, and then it came back, and it came back even bigger, better. I mean, not better, like worse.
Much more aggressive.
The positive is that the government, who has done a pretty good job, in my opinion. I've said this time and time again, but they have a rollout plan. At the end of the month, they're going to roll out they've got a vaccine strategic
rollout. Yeah.
And the first people who are going to get it at the end of this month is the Prime Minister, the Health Director General, and also the frontliners. And it's really great to hear that the government is giving the frontliners, the nurses, the doctors, who are
priorities
every day, and they're government servants, and government servants don't get a lot of money, is that they're getting some incentives, some not a lot, just a couple of $100 here and there for allowances, to pay for their petrol, to pay for some extra meals, some water. And it's good to see, because I used to work for the government, and the government is always very conservative in terms of remuneration or extras. I mean, and this is not just Malaysia, this is government worldwide, And I've spoken to other government servants about this around the world, and it's really good to see that our government is really looking after the frontliners and appreciating the frontline. And that's one thing that Malaysia has done really, really well in terms of, I'm going to try to be positive now, is to try to embrace the frontliners and say, hey, thank you for having the guts and the courage to go out there wearing shields or masks, looking better than Captain America, Captain Malaysia.
Yeah.
Captain Malaysia.
Yeah. Oh my
Captain
God.
Malaysia has no gender, female or male. You're out there making a
Captain
difference.
Malaysia.
Yeah, so nice. Great to see. And I really hope, my dream for these people is that, God willing, inshallah, when this is all over, they will be the heroes of Instagram, of Facebook, TikTok, Clubhouse. Now Clubhouse has come out this week, and these people are going to be embraced because it's so easy to forget what frontliners do for us. You know, they're almost as tough as the soldiers. Yep, you're giving us a military salute, but they're as tough as the soldiers.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out to them. So
yeah, and when you exactly when you talk about the frontliners, the doctors, the nurses, the swappers, the policemen, and those who are recruiting this group of people to form this to keep the people safe, to form this ring, you know, to have everybody be in order. And I mean, I've got this news about Malaysia and then a news about Singapore that I thought is really heartening to echo what you say, like what Malaysia is doing well. And the news that I read in Yahoo today is that Malaysia is also giving vaccination to foreign residents and undocumented migrants, including migrants from Cambodia, the third world countries, Bangladesh. And I thought it's heartening because now these people came in through trafficking, sources, right? They're undocumented. I mean, nobody wants to be that. They just try to find food for their families and trying to find jobs. But you know, Malaysia is going to give them free vaccination to also protect these people. I thought it's very heartening about it, and that goes to echo you, and that in fact is saying that the news says that the news shows all these foreign workers and the undocumented migrants, they will start the vaccination program at the end of the month to including the undocumented migrants. And if anything has shown Ben that, you know, throughout our conversations last year to this year, we're talking about humanity. We're talking about an unseen group of people that starts to surface out, like in Singapore. You know, the outbreak started in Singapore somewhere in April, May, about, you know, in the dormitories. I think that kind of hit the headlines. You know, about all these 50,000 cases in the dormitories in Singapore that just went raging. And it took such a big effort, a few months, to actually keep the numbers down. And it took about a couple of months, you know, testing and segregating these migrant workers in Singapore. So, you know, kudos to the Malaysian government about giving vaccination free to these undocumented migrants. You know, this is a time where we recognize humanity as one. Ben?
No, yeah, well said, Vicky. Humanity is one. I mean, we are all in this together. Depending on which part of the, I mean, it doesn't really matter which part of the world you're from.
Mm-hmm.
It is that. And, you know, I'll share with everybody something. I am a master of ceremonies for a career fair every year.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps me in touch with the HR community,
Mm-hmm.
community which I once upon a time worked for, if you can believe that, many years ago. But Graduate has done a very good job in terms of, you know, they do a lot of sound bites now on Instagram and Facebook, LinkedIn, and they interviewed me about giving me some tips about how to stay fit and healthy at home, and it's just a short 4-minute video. And I got my kids involved because I mean, I wasn't lying to the audience that I do get my kids involved in terms of trying to stay fit and healthy, not just for the fitness side of things, but what I like to call the happy hormones. You're doing activities with children, you know, the spirits are up and your energy is up. So I think that kind of thing needs to be shared more, a lot more around. You know, like it's very easy to talk about the numbers and say, yeah, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. And it's going to be like that for a little while, but we need happy hormone stories to keep things up and put smile on people's faces. That's why I'm wearing a Batman shirt. You know.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a Cape Crusader and fight crime throughout the night. You know, I don't think.
Yeah.
I like watching shows about that, but I mean, I just thought this shirt would put a smile on someone's face. So if that shirt puts a smile and curiosity.
I did notice that because I'm thinking you're gonna be the Batman to save the world. Tell us, Ben, about you and your wife. How is she holding? She being the woman and she being the mother of two kids. How is she holding as a mom? I mean, we should bring her on to the show one day. If she doesn't feel aversion to the television. As a woman of the family, especially a mother of two kids, and I've interviewed mothers, they had a lot of fear and anxiety. And it goes well, and then it goes down, it dips, and then it goes high again. How is she holding up, Ben?
That's a good question, Vicky. I mean, Sophia is the name I call her. So she's a great woman, and I'm not saying that because she's my wife. She's a very intelligent woman, extremely well qualified. She had to do it hard the last 2.5 years. When I say do it hard, in the sense that she went back to university to do a graduate diploma or a diploma in early childhood
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
that's the direction she wants to take.
Yeah.
And in many ways, I mean, we always joke about this. COVID sort of helped her in her final year because the campus that she studies at is very far from our house. It's
Mm.
1 hour away. So actually, when COVID happened, everything was via Zoom. So she didn't have to pay for petrol. She didn't have to pay for parking. She didn't have to. I mean, things were a lot easier. It's just hard to meet up with group members,
Yeah.
but they found a way around that. They're quite. I mean,
Yeah.
students are very young and resourceful people, but
Mm-hmm.
she found it hard the last 2.5 years juggling between being a full-time student, being a mom.
Being a mom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she felt a little bit bad that she wasn't contributing to the house financially, and we were struggling a little bit a couple of years back because of the change of government, and I lost a bit of business here and there.
Yeah.
But I just said to her, look, whatever happened, she wanted to quit a few times.
Yeah.
Because she felt bad that, I was hustling really hard. The economy was getting even worse, and with COVID coming, it was just horrible. But she felt quite bad. But I said, whatever happens, number one, do not quit the course. Number two, finish the course. Because we all didn't work this hard for you to quit.
Mm.
Quitting is the easy option. As cliche as that
Yes.
sounds, as Hollywood and as inspirational as that sounds,
Yeah.
quitting is the easy option.
Yes.
In
Yes.
this sense, if she quit, we would have lost a lot of things like time, money, all of the above. But she kept going, and she's a good student. Studies hard. What she was doing during the day.
Yeah.
I mean, during the day she was doing class.
Yeah.
Then she was looking after the kids after school, and then I would come back from work. I would bathe them. I would give them dinner, and then she would study a bit, and then we'd have dinner together, and then put the kids to bed, and then while I relaxed a bit, she studied from about 10 to 4 in the morning.
Mm. Wow.
So that was like non-stop assessments, exams, whatnot. So in December last year, she had a big smile on her face, or we all had a big smile on our faces.
Yeah.
And she finished the course. And
Wow.
it's just a great shame that COVID is, thank you. It's just a great shame that COVID is part of the equation because now in her occupation, the education industry is scaling back in terms of manpower.
Mm.
So she's not going to get a job anytime soon. I know that sounds a little bit negative, but it's just going to be very difficult. But it's okay. I mean, we are living in a world where entrepreneurs and startups are always on the rise, just like Batman. So she's we're just talking about it at the moment. She's, trying to band together with some friends. Maybe she'll do some freelance tuition tutorials to children who need some help with maths, who need some help with reading. The parents are too busy trying to hold on to their job, and working from home is not easy. And I salute all the women out there who are trying to work from home, managing their children,
At the same time.
managing a household, and also, maybe taking on more than they would like to chew. But I'm going to take this opportunity to say to all the husbands out there, I'll probably be shot for saying this, make sure you back up your wife. Sophia did the greatest thing that Sophia asked me to do, which was, I was a bit shell-shocked when it happened 8 years ago when our first child was born, was that she said to me, look, I don't care what other parents say, you're gonna wash bums.
Oh.
You're gonna wash bodies.
Wash the kid.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're gonna be a hands-on dad. I'm like,
Hands on that.
I said, wait a minute. I said, you expect me to work and be a hands-on dad, but my dad didn't do it that way. And then like his dad didn't do it that way. She said times have changed.
Wow, she's a strong woman with an opinion.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's why
Good.
I didn't marry a doormat, and I didn't want to. So,
Yeah.
I mean, she's got a brain, and I expect her to use it. She's got a big brain between those ears. So, yeah, she told me that, and I was a bit taken back when it first happened, but that's the best thing she ever did for me. And because of that, my daughter and I and son were super close, really tight, and that's a relationship that you cannot break.
Yeah. And you know, Ben, is something about an Asian family unit, like for example in Malaysia. You know, people are very close. They live that kind of cohesion between families are really close. How are you and your wife with your parents and in-laws?
No, we're
And
pretty.
how are you managing this pandemic situation with the older folks?
No. My relationship with my in-laws is pretty good. Sophia's relationship with my parents are very good. I call it the triangle effect, that we all live within a triangle of each other. I mean, over there is now over there is my parents, you know, and they're about 10 minutes away by car. My in-laws are 10 minutes away by car, and my in-laws live with my sister-in-law and her new husband, and they've just had a baby. So there's a lot of love between the families. I mean, I'm not going to say that we're perfect. Yes, we have differences of opinion at times, but which family doesn't? So, but the good thing is it's quite respectful, and yeah, it's good. So, no, it's, I mean, many years ago when I first married Sophia, not just Sophia, but her family, you know, they were very different to my family. My family is very, for lack of a better word, academic, you know, very structured. My father's an accountant, my mother's an economist. So very, very structured versus my in-laws who are a bit more relaxed about things. You know, they take it day by day, you know, and I'm not sort of used to that. But I mean, but you know what? When you marry someone, and this is a bit of a cliche saying here in Malaysia, you don't just marry your wife, you marry their family.
The whole family.
And you really get to know them. And yes, and it cannot all be hunky-dory, okay? Yeah. I mean, I always say to people, oh, you know, they said, I think I upset my mother-in-law or my father-in-law, whatever. I said, look, you know what? You need to fight to mend to have a good relationship. You need to fight. Best friends became best friends because they went through the good times and the bad times. So this COVID-19 is all about the good times and the bad times.
I want to ask you, like, you know, do you have this struggle with them? Like, for example, in my mindset, like, you know, like, I'm not sure about Malaysia, the Malaysian Hari Raya or the Chinese New Year here in Singapore. Do you have such a struggle whereby, you know, they are the old folks? You need to social distance with them. And, you know, this has been told by WHO, the older folks, 70 years old, 80 years old, you don't try to be so close to them. But yet the old folks, you need to be with them, or that they show any sense of understanding is about social distancing, or do they feel that, hey, you know, you should come and visit us? What's the dynamics like in times like this?
That's a brilliant question, because there's no statistics or data to show it at the moment, but the word of mouth news or the WhatsApp news in Malaysia is that the old folks are the ones who are, no disrespect, because we're all about respect here in Asia, you know, and I'm not disrespecting my parents or my in-laws or anybody for that matter, but apparently the word on the street is the people who are very stubborn and who are always going out is mainly the old folks.
Oh.
Because they're from a generation of not sitting still. They're from a generation of hustling like no tomorrow. They're from a generation of hard work makes the dream work.
Yeah.
So you know what? They can't sit still. My mother cannot sit still. She's always having a go at me about, oh, you can never relax. I said, I got it from you. So was this yes, there's been a lot of parents. I'm not going to mention names or stats or anything because I don't have stats. But yes, there have been older people. I mean, more the pensioners. They are and that's scary, Vicky, because they are the ones that COVID-19 is targeting. If COVID-19 hits the elderly, the pensioners generation, they are gonna. It's gonna be tough, an uphill battle because their immune system is not strong. They're weaker and everything like that. And the deaths have come from that age group. So my father, I mean, he's a funny guy. He doesn't say much, but he's a funny guy. But he is so anal about COVID. He tells people off in the street, wear your mask, wear your mask, He's the type he doesn't care about PR. He'll say if someone's too close, he'll say back off, wear your mask, sanitize your hands.
Good.
Yeah, so and versus my mom, who's a little bit more relaxed. So it's good that they've got each other that way. They sort of complement each other. But no, I mean, you said it right. The older generation, probably they're a bit bored as well because they don't have a job to go to every day. They're on a pension, so they've got more time on their hands. They're so used to going to the golf course, but they can't. They're so used to going for a walk, but they can't. They're so used to going for the coffee shop, but they can't. Their lives and rituals have been halted every Friday. Supposed to go to the mosque. A lot of Muslims have not gone to the mosque for a good long time to come. For a good long time, sorry, because that's where some of the clusters were identified.
Yes, churches too.
Yeah, so
God is telling us something. You guys think you're doing the right thing.
it's really funny that our parents used to give us the toughest love of all toughest. Because my parents are 70, I'm 40, so they give us tough love, but now we're giving them that tough love back. Stay at home. Stay at home. I said, don't you want to see don't you want to grow old with us and grow old with your grandchildren?
Yeah, and I think that's such a thin line of management. On the one hand, it's really about communication management and relationship management, and this very strange dynamics. Because on the one hand, you've got the WHO or the government mantra saying that, hey, you old folks stay at home, social distance, young people don't visit them, please leave them alone, never go and visit them. And then old folks they may be thinking, why aren't you coming to visit me? Why aren't you? It's like, what are you so afraid of? It's like, I'm just gonna relate to you a couple of incidences. Like in Singapore, all these people who are thronging the Chinatown, and I'm gonna tell you, like what we just said, there's no statistics out there, but from the photos that is being taken from the streets, right? I think a big proportion are the old folks. They feel the need to go back to this kind of tradition. They need to go there to meet their old friends, the old shops, and people who say, oh, I really need to come here. They are the one who's thronging that place, and my heart goes out to them. And it's also about the balancing of this communication. And Ben, I was talking to my grand uncle because my parents have passed years ago. My dad passed when I was about 7, 8, and my mom passed about 5 years ago. So I only have a grand uncle and his wife. And I don't mince my words. I say, don't you ever go to Chinatown. And I say, you're wise enough. I mean, of course, I back it up to say that you're wise. And we are wise. I mean, we've seen the world, we've seen the situation, not give any more burden to the keepers, to the hospitals, and to the governments. And I think I was like really just screaming to him, like, never ever go there anywhere close to Chinatown. I say, that's when, let us just pull ourselves together, ladies and gentlemen. It's hard that you don't meet your family during Thanksgiving, you don't meet your family during Christmas, you can't have the parties, you can't go to the bar. That's why we're here, to urge everyone, ladies and gentlemen, so that we can have a better life, that all of us are safe. So, I told him that, let us keep ourselves safe. And then when this is all blown over, and let us keep our low profile now, it's going to be Chinese New Year every day. it's gonna be Christmas every day. I mean, just make up for it. I mean, if I have a choice, Ben, just to tell you honestly, I would cancel it. I would cancel Chinese New Year and have a take on why there are such visitations and to our foreign friends out there. And this is what I told my mom. And during the Chinese New Year, I actually tried to leave the country. I don't want to go for visitations. And my reasoning is it's just logical. I say, we're here, we're meeting everyone every day. Now, people needed that time in those days, in those the peasants' days in China, because it was such a vast country and there were migrant workers throughout the countries. And you had to have these migrants for 1 month for them to leave where they were to travel back kilometers back home to spend 1 month with the family before they go back. So therefore, those times were very important for the reunion dinner and the Chinese dinner. And in China, the holiday is actually 1 month. It's actually 4 weeks because you had all these vast 1 billion people, and you're talking about 15 million people crisscrossing the whole of the country just to meet their families because they're the migrant workers. I mean, just like India, you've got like 1.3 billion, right? So I'm just talking about that's logic, and it's those times because there's no technologies, there's no phone. People are traveling by the carts, by the horse, by the rickshaw, by the trains, by the boats. You know, by the time they reach home, it takes days, weeks just to reach home. So therefore, reunion dinner was very important. But in times like these, we are in the tiny part of Singapore. We're meeting everyone every day. We're not the migrant workers. You want to meet everyone, we can't have reunion dinner every day. I mean, I'm just talking about logic. And I'm not having any disrespect. I'm talking about we give respect to these migrant workers, like what we're talking about, giving them the vaccination at the front line because they are the people at the lowest end of the strata. They need the extra care. They need the extra 1 month of like annual leave because they're traveling from one part of the country, one part of the globe to another part of the globe. Let's give it to them. So my logic to my mom, and she accepted that, is that some of these very old arcade thinking, we need to know where they come from. Why are we going there to buy certain kind of like tidbits, certain kind of candies? Yeah, because they signified something in history. And I'm not saying that history was bad. I'm saying that you need to know the history. Then you can appreciate. You can't just like blindly take that and say, oh, I need that. No, it wasn't about the need. It's about the significance of it. So, I kind of like related to her. I say that I need to leave the country and I need to go to Batam. I need to spend the holiday because it's a much needed holiday break for me. My boyfriend then and my husband now is like, I need to just get away because we need each other. Anyway, we're having dinner every day, right? No, so now do you need a special kind of vegetable? Well, if we need the special kind of the vegetable for its significance, then we can have that significance every day, right? If it's about ritual, I'm not into rituals, Ben. I'm into the significance, the meaning, and the respect. Where it comes from, why we're doing this, and why should we promote this because of the values that it brings, and not doing it blindly because it kind of like feels good. Well, it makes me feel good today. Like the songs and all this. I just felt that it is people have lost in this blind ritualistic things that. I think in times of reflection, like, in these times, especially in the pandemic times, people are thronging a particular place. They say, oh, I need to go there to Chinatown because I need to see that particular flower that only comes during this month. I'm thinking, hello, that was years ago when that people couldn't transport that kind of spring flower from another part of the globe to this part of the globe. But now, if you want to order it, you can just order it online. So the significance is appreciation of life. And I think if we have that as the fundamental tenet of a philosophy, I think we can never go wrong. And we can be more discerning about why are we doing certain things now, and why we are doing certain things, or why we don't have to follow certain things ritualistically blindly. And that's what my word from my mom. It's just a conversation between me and my mom, and she kind of accepted it. And this is my story to the listeners and the viewers, and also to anyone who's tuning in. That I think it's more important that we have this advent of the internet. We're sharing stories. We're also calling out for people to social distance with regards to the old folks, and to explain to the old folks about certain rituals is because of the significance, not because it's senseless rituals, but because there are certain rituals that we respect the significance behind, respect the history and the values that they bring. I think we promote that in our everyday lives. I think that is more important. Like filial piety, you don't meet your family, or you meet your friend only like once a week, once during the year. You can meet them and you can show the filial piety throughout the year. This is what I'm saying, Ben.
Oh, Vicky, I mean, you summed it up all very, very well right there in terms of, yeah, we don't need to see each other. You know what? I mean, one thing that I want to share with you based on your point is that, I think COVID is a nice time to Zoom people, and FaceTime them, Google chat them. I mean, I try to make it a point because I'm a workaholic, I'll be honest. I mean, over the years, I don't really see friends much. Well, I mean, yeah, we wish each other happy birthday on Facebook. We'll send each other a WhatsApp every now and then. I hope you're okay. Pang Hiba Joy, Selamat Hari Raya, Merry Christmas, Happy Deepavali, whichever religion they celebrate, This is a great time to reach out to someone and say, hey, it's been a long time. I've been doing that.
Yeah.
I've just
It's been a long time.
I've started a YouTube channel, and I mean, which I started not too long, about in August last year, and it's going very, very slowly because I'm only approaching it on a fun part-time basis. And I've just been telling friends about it. I reached out to them on Facebook. I reached out to them by Twitter, by LinkedIn, and say, hey, how you doing? I'm doing this now, just to let you know. Please press the subscribe button or the like button or the follow button. But how are you? How's the children? I've seen you for the longest time. And then like you start going in a conversation, and then like after the 10th line, you say, hey, we're having a conversation here. Let's take it to a real conversation.
Yes.
On Thursday, 9 o'clock. Yeah, okay, I think I can talk. Okay, great. So like we talk about, where we first met, the friends that we met along the way. What's this person doing now? What's that person doing now? Is that person still married? Is that person divorced? Is that person had a fifth kid, or did they get a promotion? And it's nice. It's really, really nice. And like, we have a joke with each other. Oh, I can't buy you a real cup of coffee, but let's have a virtual cup of coffee, and we, put our drinks, our coffees up. And
yes, let's have our tea now.
How about this is a beer glass, but I don't drink. But yeah, this is my lemonade. So.
For slimming, and you're right, and something about this Zoom thing, ladies and gentlemen, it's like when you're put on the microphone, your mind starts to think. Yes, your mind starts to go into deeper, and to me, it's such an important thing because when you're looking at the screen, you have a microphone. I'm talking about microphone as a computer, right? Because you're recording you, not just physically the microphone, but when you are with a microphone, a screen, a computer, and you're seated down, you're really just talking with this person FaceTime. You're into a conversation. You're not into like, okay, I'm in a cafe, I'm appreciating the aesthetics, I'm appreciating the music, I'm here to show off my girlfriend, I'm here to show off my boyfriend, I'm not here like to spend like $100 on a beer or something. You're just here for a real heart-to-heart talk.
Exactly.
And I think a lot the best conversations come out during the pandemic.
Yeah. And you know what? It's in a generation now, Vicky, that mental health, mental well-being is very much part of the conversation, top of the agenda. I think we need to reach out to people and say, are you okay? I always have the saying that every time someone gives birth to their firstborn child, not many people ask how the dad is. And people always ask the mom, how are you?
Mom.
Oh, yeah, everything okay? And most moms, regardless of the culture, will put on a positive front. Oh, I'm going great. This is the best thing that's ever happened to me. But some moms go through a depression and, the postnatal depression and say, okay, no, look, I mean, this is the best thing that ever happened to me, but why do I feel like it's not?
Yes.
And I think it's very similar to the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's like we're going through something here, and it's okay to say that you're struggling. It's okay to say that it sucks. Yeah. It's okay to say that it's a piece of what. I'm trying, those words, I'm trying to stay positive, is getting quite cliche. So I say to friends, it's okay. You can be negative today. If you just want to bitch until the cows come home, I've got bigger ears than Dumbo. I'll listen.
Yeah.
I'll listen. I won't judge. It's all good because it has been a tough 2 years.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be too negative, but I think, I don't know what is normal anymore, Vicky.
Yeah, I think you're right. In this conversation, especially in this prolonged pandemic series that we've got, we are really devoting our time to talk about the pandemic. I don't think anybody has done it like us, Ben. Like really just excavating what goes on. I mean, sometimes like me and my friends, we really just even try to avoid topics like this because it's become like what you say, cliche. You ask your friend, how are you? But people don't want to talk about it because it's so much uh, in the air. It's so much in your face already. You're going out, you're putting on the mask, you're social distancing, you can't meet your friend, you drive a car, and then and you're just trying to keep yourself in the car and try not to go out. If you go out, you kind of come back. I mean, there are people like that. But I'm really trying to say is like people try to avoid conversations already because it's so much in the news. But yet when you speak it and I speak it, people want to hear. And you know that one thing about us, Ben, to feedback to you and to ladies and gentlemen who are tuning in, I think in a way we are doing a good job, and kudos to Ben and kudos to all the international hosts of people coming because they also feel the need to talk about it. And I've got new guests coming on after you. I've got Dr. Aiman from Pakistan, and tomorrow I've got Lillian from Pittsburgh, America, and then on Sunday we've got California, Beverly Hills, and then next week, the week after, to wrap up February, I've got another Singaporean friend who's going to come on to talk about pivoting a business in pandemic. So people feel the need to talk about it when they don't talk about it to their friends and their families. You know what I'm trying to say? Because the friends and families, they try to avoid all kinds of talk like this anymore. How's the COVID numbers today? You don't say that to your husband, your wife. No, because it's so much in our face already.
Well, I think people have to talk about it, Vicky, because it's a reminder. It's a reminder that we can't go back to normal.
Yeah.
And I think
we don't know the definition of normal anymore.
Here's another funny story I have to share with you, Vicky.
Yeah.
I've spoken to a few agents this week.
Yeah.
When I say agents, maid agents, because for people out there who are not aware, Southeast Asia is we part of our lifestyle is we have a helper in the house, live-in helper, and someone who helps us with the cooking and the cleaning and the laundry and looking after the kids, because most moms and dads work 9 to 9, not 9 to 5. Because in Asia, our work-life balance is not very good. I'm just saying that to all our international viewers who are not aware of the Southeast Asian culture of having a maid. But I mean, I've been looking for a maid because our maid left us on Christmas Eve, and I've spoken to a few agents, and the agents, they only have one question for the candidate when they interview them. You know what that question is?
Have you had a test?
Not that. Have you accepted that if you work for a Ben Ibrahim or you work for any Tom, Dick, and Harry on the street, on your day off, you cannot go out?
Yes. You social distance from all your other fellow.
You know what they say? They say, no, we must have a day out. I said, what don't you understand? We're not trying to be cruel to you. You cannot work that day. I tell them over the phone, you don't work. Sleep, play with your phone, watch TV, whatever you want to do. Don't
Play
work.
in the garden. Yeah.
Play in the garden, go kick the ball, go whatever, do whatever you have to do. But you don't even have to see us that day.
Yeah.
But you can't go out.
Yeah.
Oh no, so that's the kind of mentality that some people have.
Yeah.
They think that, they're
It's
not
going to go back to normal. Yeah.
how nasty this is. So we are living in a society, Vicky, that we are always looking over our shoulder, not because of crime or whatnot, because we don't know what's out there. We don't know what.
Exactly. That's right.
Touch
wood.
When I go to the ATM, Vicky, I take my shirt and I'm pressing the buttons with my hand, but it's covered with my shirt.
Yeah.
And then when I come home, I throw that shirt. I wash it almost straight away.
Yes, do that.
How paranoid I am, So,
it's not paranoid. It's normal. You should do that.
but some people don't get it.
People don't get it. You're right. So we have to get the word out, Ben. That's the logical behavior, because you are protecting people. You are protecting people. Not only when you protect yourself, let me get this straight, ladies and gentlemen and Ben, don't apologize for this behavior, because when we get ourselves safe and healthy, we are protecting our neighbors, we're protecting our families. We don't get them into anxiety or inconveniences, or the keepers or the nurses. When we take care of ourselves, we are taking care of our neighbors. This is the situation we're talking about. Yes. So we don't apologize, because Ben, I applaud you.
Thanks, Vicky.
I really applaud you. We should be having this SOP series. SOP series. Like you should do.
But you know what, Vicky? I feel like saying, I hope that we do live in a world of superheroes. Because I hope the Batmans of this world can set it straight. He'll put a lock on the house and say, "Don't go out. You can't go out."
Yeah.
Unless there's food or whatever. But you know what? Malaysia is quite good. I'm not sure about other parts of the world, but our delivery service for food, not just like dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but in terms of groceries, is quite good. So, again, it has to be smart. And look, Vicky, I hope to have this conversation with you every week, and I hope that, like you said, we're not just talking about COVID. We're talking about other things. But unfortunately, at the moment, Vicky, that's what dominates our headlines in the papers and the websites. A little bit of talk about politics, but the politicians are always debating about COVID. How is the best way to handle COVID-19? You know what? I spoke to someone this week and said, look, from the government, and they were saying, they think, they were saying, I think the lifts need to happen, because yes, the government is doing a good job keeping people safe, but people need to work. People are hungry. People are scared, So COVID has killed more jobs than people. And that's the sad reality.
And to echo you, Ben, I just want to let you know that make no apologies for the behavior. And when you think you are paranoid, think about me. Because when someone says that I'm paranoid, I say, no, I'm protecting you. Right? And I told my husband, when you go to the ATM machine, I want you to get out a piece of tissue paper and then press with it and immediately throw that away and then sanitize your hands. Because you are protecting the person behind you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And then when you come up, we don't walk, don't take the lift, walk up the stairs. And when you do need to take the lift, you need to get the buttons with your tissue paper or something, because we are protecting our community. Do you get it? Do you get it, ladies and gentlemen? I hope, ladies and gentlemen, you get it. We need to protect ourselves in order to protect you. So with that, Ben, would you like to wrap up the last 2 minutes of goodbye? Thank you so much. Before we say goodbye to you and you wrap up in the last 2 minutes, today, Friday, for the next 2 Fridays, the last final 2 Fridays, you can catch Ben of Malaysia, Ben Ibrahim of Malaysia, for his show Headlines and Bottomlines, to tell us about what's happening in Malaysia, what's happening in this part of the world, what's happening with his community, the general people. It's about people, talking about people, our lives. And I think we need to share this, and I would like to feedback to the viewers and listeners. I've got letters, I've got news, letters, as in I've got emails and feedback that they have never seen a show like this on YouTube. They have never seen it, and they want more of this because they hear us, and we are hearing them. We hear them, and they hear us out. It works both ways. So I think to give some goodness in the internet world during this pandemic times, I mean, we are doing something good up there. And every Friday, 9 p.m. Singapore time, tune in to Brand Ibrahim of Malaysia. He's going to share with us what's happening there in Malaysia. It seems like not a lot of things that's happening, but it's a big deal here actually in this part of the world, the Lunar New Year in Malaysia and Singapore, that both of us are almost like in isolation state. We're not going out there, but we want to be responsible individuals. Please tune in next Friday, 2 more Fridays with Ben Ibrahim at 9 p.m. Singapore time. Wrap this up, Ben, in the next 1.5 minutes.
Okay, no, thanks, Vicky. I don't think I can. I mean, there's nothing much more to be said than what you said. You said it so well and eloquently and so positively with a big smile on your face, and that's the way to do it. So to everybody out there, thanks for listening. I mean, please join the conversation. You can drop Vicky a question. You can drop me a question through the comments field, right into Vicky, and we'll read out the question. I mean, as the show evolves, we would like to hear what are you thinking? What's your question? What's your 5 W's and H? Happy to answer it. I'm a very straightforward person. I don't like to sugarcoat. I don't like to beat around the bush. I like to say it straight, but very respectfully. So in the most respectful manner, let's keep that going. So drop us a line, and happy to share with you, and happy to have you as part of our conversation right here on Talk About Life with Vicky, Esther, and me, Ben Ibrahim, every Friday.
Thank you so much, Ben. So I will catch you next Friday, 9 p.m. Singapore prime time. Thank you, and please stay safe.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay, bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're having Dr. Aiman from Pakistan, and we just had Ben Ibrahim who checked out in Malaysia, and now we have got Dr. Aiman all the way from Pakistan. And before we invite her to say hello to everyone, just to announce to all the listeners, viewers, followers, today is the 12th of February. If you're tuning in right now, you are with Dr. Aiman, Pakistan, for her show From the People of South Asia, and she's going to run through with us what's happening with the people in Pakistan and what's happening around the area. And she's a doctor. She's able to cut it to the chase, what's happening there, what's happening with the vaccination, the lives of the people, the numbers, and also in general, what's happening to the community. Are they struggling, or is it going back to normal? So these are the things that I think we should go right to the people, represented by Dr. Aiman, to tell us what's happening to the people around there. So everyone, please tune in to 10 p.m. Singapore time, 7 p.m. Pakistan time, and 9 a.m. America Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time America, and 6 a.m. Pacific Time America. So we are around the world, ladies and gentlemen. I can't believe it. I mean, more and more people are coming into the show because it's so much more meaningful. People find it meaningful that we share what's happening on the ground. We're not really talking about what's about the numbers out there, but we're talking about people's lives. We're hearing it from the mouths of the people. So everyone, ladies and gentlemen, Friday, 10 p.m. Singapore time, 7 p.m. Pakistan time is with Dr. Aiman from the people of South Asia. Hi, Dr. Aiman. Would you like to say hi to everyone and how are you? And tell us
Hi,
how's the situation out there?
hi, Vicky. I'm really good. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been a pleasure to be here and to talk with your audience. It's been great. Yeah, pandemic has been really heavy on everyone around the world. Same the situation is in South Asia. So I'm currently based in Pakistan, but basically I'm from Turkey, and I have family in India as well and Saudi Arabia. So I would be covering different part of Middle East, South Asia in
Yeah,
today's topic, and how the situation has been there so far.
yeah. Tell us, before we dive into what's happening in South Asia, and because you and I, we have got such a good connection. We've got like three past episodes or four past episodes already about uh, 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 Asian Muslim women, um, a topic on that, and we also talked about the situation in Pakistan back in October. I think back in October 2020, where you talked about the situation and you were able to describe the holistic approach the Ministry of Health did. The whole structured approach to actually dissecting the territory of Pakistan and to actually zoom into each area to take that area and take control of the situation. So I was very impressed, and that really like draw me to your episode and invite you again. It's such an honor to have you, Dr. Aiman, and I would like you to share with us yourself. What's happening with you. Back in Pakistan right now, and you and your family, how are you all holding out in such a prolonged pandemic situation?
Thank you for handing me over the mic, Vicky. So before I start what is being happening in Pakistan and particularly South Asia, that is Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, in Sri Lanka. I
Yeah,
want to share a personal experience. So I am a frontline worker, and before I was working in the field, I did not realize what might be problem of a lot of people living within the community. And when I'm talking about the community, and particularly South Asian community, if you could know that South Asian community, we are still a developing nation. So there has been lack of resources, there has been lack of paramedics, and especially in this kind of situation in pandemic where even
yeah,
the first world countries or developed countries are struggling, it's really hard for these small developing countries with very small with not so big economies to tackle the situation here. So basically, not so far away, just a month ago, last year, my family and I have been really strict about quarantining, being socially distant, and we have been following all the protocols that have been here for so long, and especially for the fact that my father is above 60, so we have to be
wow,
really cautious about his health.
yeah,
So just a month ago, like 1.5 months ago, he had a very small meeting and he was home all year and doing all the precautions.
yeah,
So he went to the meeting and then he came back and then he in I guess in a week he was complaining that he wasn't feeling well. So what basically happened that my father of all the people, he is a man, and sometimes he do talk about, we joke about the man flu, like they have very small symptoms and they make fuss out of it. So we were like just laughing it out with my
yeah,
father, and he was saying that maybe I'm acting too much and there's nothing. But me and my brother, we are medical doctors. So my brother recommended, why don't you go and get tested for COVID?
tested, yeah,
He said that because I have been very social distant, I have been very precautious about all the things. So I
precautions,
don't think so. It might be COVID. It might be seasonal flu, because now is the time, it's winter time, and you might get flu
yeah,
from due
the
to any
change in
virus.
temperature, the change in
Exactly.
environment, yeah,
Exactly. So within in the following week, he developed fever the same
yeah,
in one of the days, and it was around 101 centigrade. So we were Fahrenheit, sorry. So we were like, okay, now is the time that, and the fever lasted just for a few hours.
mm,
After that, he started losing his appetite. He wasn't eating much. He wasn't feeling very good.
yeah,
He was feeling, he was acting a bit aggressive, and he's complained about weakness. So my brother was very persistent that we need to see doctor. And but you see, even when you're a doctor at home, and when you are, because um we have a thing that we don't tend to realize, that if we have a doctor in family, we don't tend to appreciate the fact. And of course,
Yeah.
when you're parents, you don't realize that your child is a doctor as well, so you should be
Yes.
listening to them. So
Yes.
he of all the things.
They just think that you are the child.
Yeah, exactly. So me and my brother keep insisting him, but he said, okay, maybe we should call the family doctor. So you're like, okay, we should come.
You already have two doctors in the
Yeah.
home.
So we called our family doctor, and he gave him some medicine. So the good thing was, my father didn't self-medicated himself at all. He didn't took any medicine at home.
Mm.
But then he started developing shivering. And so 2 days into shivering, and my brother said that this is all, and I'm going to take you to the hospital. He said that maybe, okay, wait a day, because sometimes when I have fever, I do shiver. So, and tomorrow we might be visiting doctor. So now
So
when I
he
think,
was tested negative.
no, he didn't test at all. He didn't want to go to doctor,
Oh, he
because
didn't want
now
to. So did the
let
family
me,
doctor come to test him?
yeah, and the family doctor said that please come visit me, and he said that okay, please give me one paracetamol, and maybe I'm going to come to you tomorrow. So
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you why he was hesitant to visit doctors.
Yeah.
So then on the following day, when he was for 2 days, he was shivering, and
Yeah.
we were like insisting, like please go to doctor and please go to hospital with us. He's like, okay, I have taken paracetamol, and tomorrow I'm going to go to doctor.
Yeah.
So I still remember on the 12th of January in the midnight, he woke us up, and he said that I cannot breathe. It's so hard for me to
Mm.
breathe. And my brother and I rushed him to the hospital. My old brothers rushed him to the hospital. And the minute we entered the hospital, the doctor, he has oximeter. He measured his pulse, and his breathing was around 45, or I guess even less, 42. So
What does that mean?
to give the contrast, the normal human breathing should be around 95 to 100,
Oh,
right?
so that was 50%.
So that was even more than less than half.
Yeah.
So he said that, and then he did a quick X-ray, and he said my father lungs has collapsed more than 90% by then, and we had to rush him to the emergency. There were no hospitals that we could find. All the hospitals were full. We
Mm.
couldn't find room in any hospital. And suddenly, one of the hospitals that came to my father's mind, and he was conscious, and he was talking. He said that take me to that hospital, and we took him there, and they entered him into ER, and they did all the tests, did the COVID test, and the result was there. And they said to my brother, "See, I'm not going to give you any hope, but your father has collapsed more than 95%, and his
Of the
chances of
lungs.
surviving is so less, and we do not know that if we should be continuing him into ICU, even because your father has come with this situation." So if I could show you the X-ray of my father, it was completely white, and we did not know what to do. Like, we had money, we could made him enter ICU, we could pay the bills, but the thing that doctor said, and we were even seeing the condition, he was completely okay. If you would see him physically, he was completely okay. He was talking to us. He was really breathless. We could see him struggling with breathe, but other than that, he was completely okay. And we thought, my brother said that, okay, please enter him in the ICU, and we are going to make our mind for anything if any situation happens. And they entered him in ICU, and they connected oxygen to him. So just give you a small perception, a normal human lungs have capacity to store 5 liter of oxygen, and we store it, and then it go out and go in, right? It's the procedure. And the normal capacity of working to the minimum, if your body function does not affect, is 90%. That at least you should have 90% oxygen within yourself without any help,
Yeah.
if you are in any medical condition. But other than that, if you're a healthy individual, it should be around 95 to 100.
Yeah.
So they attached 30 liter of oxygen to my father on double support. He had support from his mouth, he had support from his nose, and they put it on 30 liter oxygen. I remember those times were really hard. There is one thing that you are a doctor yourself, and you have to deal with these situations. But then there's totally different thing when your father or your family is right there in that room where you go and deal with people. You do not know what to do. And I realized suddenly you are not a doctor anymore, because you don't start thinking organically. You are not thinking from your intellect. Start thinking from emotions. You are so skilled.
Yeah.
I am a woman. I am very independent woman. I have been always so much. I took my grace into it that I been able to travel around world and I earn. I am pretty badass woman for what I do. But that was a time I realized that this would be a thing, that even I am doctor and I have a doctor, like we are a family of doctors. This could be a thing for a lot of people who might be going through same situation. They do not have enough education, they do not have enough resources, they do not know when to take their patients to the hospital. They might be facing a lot of problems which we medical people or practitioners are not being able to see within our communities, because where the people are coming from, we might be too privileged to see these problems. That's why there are so many unreported cases, and there are so many cases which might never come to notice of any
Yes.
paramedic or any medical practitioner, because people did not even know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
They did not even know how to act on that or take where to take their patients.
Yeah.
Pakistani society is, most of the society is not very rich. We have a
Yeah.
majority of society that is living under the poverty line. If I would say, there might be 40% of the people that might be living under the poverty line. They do not have enough resources to take their patients to doctors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this could be a reason a lot of cases are not even known by the world, and
Yeah.
this opened my eyes. So those time and those periods were really, really hard. My father, alhamdulillah, he's okay now. He's on oxygen, but
Wow.
he has recovered through that period. We were able to work with doctors, and by grace of God, and I am always by grace of Allah. Whenever I say there are prayers, it's nothing except that could
Yeah.
save a man.
Yeah.
Of course, so he is home, he's on 1 liter oxygen, and he's recovering, he's in that phase. But I get to know a lot of things, and I ask him, when he came home, and I get to meet him and I talk to him, and I ask him, why you didn't want to go to doctor? So, the thing he told me, it break my heart and it shattered me. And I thought, yes, that this pandemic could be so cruel on psychology of a lot of people,
Yeah.
and they might be scared to go to hospitals. He said me that at some point, I did knew that I have COVID. I was angry at myself that why, although I was very precautious about everything, I was angry at myself that why did I get it? And I was so scared that I would might not be able to see my children if I
Oh.
die there, or I might not
Yeah.
be able to see my
Oh.
wife and my children if they will put me in the quarantine or in ICU, because
Wow.
you know how the COVID
Yes. Yes.
hospitals
Yep.
are. They
Yep.
do
A
not
lot of
let
people
you.
died alone. Yeah. Can
Yeah,
can I just ask one question? So
yeah,
so he
please.
was afraid of that, but at the end, was he tested? At what point was he tested? Like went
He
through the
was
test?
Yeah, he was tested on the day on the 12th of January, and he was tested positive. But along with COVID, he has COVID pneumonia. So the pneumonia
Oh,
is
pneumonia. Oh my God.
yeah,
It's like a double, right? Double whammy, right?
exactly. So it's like inflammation. And we know is the inflammation of lungs.
Mm,
Pneumonia is a condition where you have all the symptoms.
mm.
So it was double thing on him, and
Oh,
while treating him, while working with doctors for his treatment, I get to realize so many things. So let me start with the first thing, that what happened. The first thing that COVID is, see, before we have a lot of diseases. We had cancer, we might have tuberculosis. These are all diseases which do transform from one human to another human, right? Hepatitis, not cancer. Cancer does not transform from one human to another, but it's a deadly disease like what we know of it. It's AIDS, HIV. We have so many diseases, herpes. They do transfer from one human to another. But not a lot of people do study about them. Not We do not have enough educational programs on TV to tell about them. We do not have a lot of people talking about them.
mm.
Only case that we get might to know that would be in the family. If somebody in the family get diagnosed with cancer, HIV, AIDS, or with any of the following diseases which could be deadly, and then we get to know, okay, that person has this. And even then the family does not educate themselves about the disease. They are just more reliable on the doctor prescription. They are more reliable on how the doctors are treating their patient. They do not have this privilege of going through the books or going through the data that what has been happening. And like, how many of us know how many people are dying from cancer around the world? We do not know. Like, there are statistics, there are data, but nobody's interested in doing, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Then there are so many diseases the same way. There are so many accidents happening around the world. How many even then we do drive our car, we go out, there are so many statistics of showing heart attacks all of a sudden in young people, but
yeah,
we do not care about them because
yeah,
this is the thing that do not concern us. So what happened, even though the media has played a huge role in educating people about COVID, but I think it has made people psychologically disturbed. They're scared. They're scared of being alone. They are scared of being lonely, dying lonely. And of all the things in the world, if you close your eyes and if you have, if somebody asks you what you might be most scared of, and you will eventually say, yeah, that I might be scared of dying, right? Especially dying young when you have family and when you have not seen enough things in your family, and
mm,
you want to see your child grow, or maybe you want to get married. Dying young is one of the most thing that is the most scariest thing for a lot of people, and it can scare them to death. Nobody imagine about dying, right?
yeah, yeah,
And then the second thing, if you would ask them that if death might not be one of the scariest thing, what could be another? And they would say, I get scared that I might be lonely in the world. People are afraid of not having enough friends around them, dying single. They are women who are always scared that, oh, I might not be married throughout my life. I might be single throughout. So people, we are social being. We love to be around with family and friends. And one of the cases that do study that people who isolate themselves, one of the major thing in them is depression, right? So but in COVID, you combine these two
yeah.
things. There is scared,
And
like you are,
isolation.
yeah, you are being scared of death, and then you are being scared that when you might be dying, or when you might be losing your life, or you might be going through hardship of this disease, you won't have anyone close to you.
Yeah,
You won't have your family. You won't have anyone. It,
yeah,
and this made me realize that that's why people, even though they might not be so much um, privileged, or they might not know a lot of things, that they do know one thing, that they do not want to be away from their family.
Can I
And
ask a couple of things, Dr. Ayman? You know, because this thing is occurring right in the heart of your family, right? It's your dad. Let's talk about your dad. You had a chance to talk to him, right? Now that he's kind of calmed down, because it was like a whirlwind, right? Because things were happening, boom, 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 like one thing after another, and you were trying to handle the situation at the same time, trying to just calm yourself down and let your emotions, like you're just trying so hard to like get it in control. And now that you have a chance to talk to your dad, did you have a chance to like ask him questions? Besides the question you asked him, why didn't he wanted to go to the hospital? Did you have any daughter, father conversations about his fears? About what if questions, the extreme cases, what if he succumbed to it, and what are his wishes? Did he struggle with that? What kind of fears he had about himself? Did you have such a conversation?
yeah, we did have.
Tell
Actually, it
us.
has got before me and my father, we are both alpha. So we all know that two alphas cannot
Alpha.
so yeah,
Oh,
before
I
that
like
we
you,
were
girl.
so But after that, yeah, it has brought two of us really close. We were able to talk heart to
Wow.
heart, and we were able to exchange so many things. And you know, one of the hardest things that we went through, I remember one night
Yeah.
when I went to hospital, and we were wearing the dress, and I asked doctor that I want to meet my father. So I met him. My whole family met him in the dress. We were taking all the precautions because we didn't want to leave him
It's the
alone. He
PPE,
didn't.
right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we didn't want to leave him alone. The doctor gave us permission. We went him and we met him, and he was stable then.
Yeah.
And so then I said, okay, I might take home, and I'm going home. So in case there's an emergency or anything, emergency wasn't in my mind. I was
Yeah.
calm. I was thinking like, okay, he's recovering now. He
Mm.
might recover. But uh, I remember driving back home, and I came just at the entrance of my home, and I was about to key the door, and I received a call from my brother. He was in hospital. He was staying in the hospital. And he said that doctor has said that we might be losing your father, so we have to put him on ventilator. And I'm like, I just left him there. Like it's not even 15 minutes. I just came home. He said you need to come home, and I might be at the position that I have to sign the consent letter.
Oh,
And please
wow.
don't tell mother. I did not know how to respond. I just completely went blank. And this is the situation that has come into, this scenario has come before me a lot of time in practice. There are patients that have died in front of us. There are patients who we have to ask for consent to putting them on ventilator. But I studied and I knew that if you go on ventilator in COVID, there are chances in Pakistan that you might not be coming out of it. So he said that the doctor said that you might need to say him final goodbye.
Wow.
And I I I remember that that drive back to hospital was one of the hardest drive that I think that I would ever take in my life. And I God forbid I pray that nobody has to go through that.
Wow.
The whole 15-20 minutes back to hospital, we did not know how to talk. We did not know how to respond. And then his call came again. He said that doctor is saying that he's deteriorating. What do you suggest? And and he's a doctor himself, but he was numb. He couldn't make any decision. He was asking me for the decision, but I didn't have a decision on my own. So I told him that you are there, you are a doctor, be very intellective and be very logical. And if you think that he needs to go on ventilator, then let it be. But if you think we are going to lose him and we are not going to get back him from ventilator, so let's end the chapter here and say our goodbye to him. And
Wow.
he said, okay, because going on ventilator is a very, very, hard procedure for the patient. Even they have to do they have to put a cart, and there is a lot of ventilation and machines and involved, and but yeah, we went to hospital, and I told doctor, please give one more chance, and let's see if there is anything that we can do before putting him on vent. And he said that we are trying everything, and this is one of the last options that we are going to go to. So keep praying. And at that time, you realize that there's nothing except praying that you can do at that time. Your father, if you might be thinking that, oh, I would have taken him to the best hospitals of the country, he was right there. If you might be thinking I would have given him the best medication of the best facilities, he was right there between them. At that point you realize that how much the presence of God or Allah or whatever you say
Yeah.
is needed in your life, and you realize that you're nothing.
You're nothing.
You might be thinking that, oh my God, I might be able to do this. I have been able to run this business, that business, I have
Yeah.
this career, this profession. You're nothing. This situation come, and like what you could do. He has two children who were doctors.
Yeah.
They were helpless.
Yeah.
There were a team of doctors working with him. They were helpless.
Yeah.
We and we prayed that night. We did not know doctor were doing everything that they can, and we kept praying. And Alhamdulillah, for I just say for from Allah that, and we say it Allah, and for you it might be God or Christ. So he did come back, and he didn't have to be put on ventilator. But these were the these were the situation, not small, but these were the situation which has turned and twisted my mind from the fact that the kind of traditional practice I have been doing all these years, it turned my fact from the thing that this is not the thing we you know the thing about the fact that this pandemic is a lot more about being traditional doctors, being traditional paramedics, being traditional people. We might be overloaded, we might be burdened with work, we might have to do a lot of extra shifts, but this is the time when the families of the patients and the patients need you so much. So it's so important to be humble, to be nice, to see, to just this might be time. I don't know how long this COVID situation is going to stay in here, but for doctors, you know there is no replacement of the fact that you have been doing, the medical fraternity has been doing so much for us throughout this pandemic.
Wow.
But you have to go long way. We have to keep ourselves intact because so many people are reliable on us. The time I was sitting outside ICU,
Yeah.
I did not know what might be happening to my father inside. I
Yeah.
did not have any knowledge. Those were the few, like those were the hours of the night. They were so hard on us.
It was so hard.
We did not know how to respond, how to reply. We had no insight. What is happening inside? Is he alive? Is he on vent? What is happening? What kind of treatment that he's being given? And this is, why I keep emphasizing on this. This is the fact when I knew what happened inside ICU. I knew what happened when patient has to go through this. This is what is my profession is about. And then once your family is in there, or your relative is in there, your bloodstream is in there, you do not know what to do anymore. So I was thinking, what about the people who has no link with medical at all? They might have no medical fraternity person or paramedic or
Yeah.
doctor or anyone in their families.
Yeah.
What they might be thinking through this, how they are coping with psychologically, and how it is so important to look after this fact that we need a team of people, a team of psychologists, a team of professionals to make them look after these people, their mental health, because it's so much important. You know, you the you're
Dr.
the
Ivan, can I bring you back a little bit to rewind to a bit slower down to play it in slow motion? Now, at that time, the few days that you drove back to the hospital, and then a lot of things must have gone through your mind during that drive, the 20-minute drive. Share with us the emotional thoughts that you had during that 20-minute drive that you hope that people don't have to go through that. Tell us about that.
you know um it was very messy situation, if I would say. I My mind, if I would say, yeah, there would be a lot of things that might be going through my mind. My childhood, how I spent time with my father, how our relationship evolved throughout years. And I told you I wasn't a very close daughter to my father, although I am the only daughter, but we were not very close.
Wow.
And I do remember that I keep on regretting all that drive was making me think. And I do live abroad. Do live away from my parents. So yeah,
Yeah.
I do come visit them. This year, the pandemic, I wanted to spend with them. So yeah, I did spend the pandemic with them.
Mm,
But even
mm.
then, I was thinking of all the moments that I could have spent with him. I was regretting all that moment which could
Regretting.
have been. Yeah, there were regrets. There were a lot of memories, and of all the things, there was hope. I was hoping, I was praying that one thing. And while I was praying, that is, we do namaz, and while I sat on the mat and I was shivering. So when I went there, the doctor was one of the colleagues that I know, his friend. So I was at the advantage that the doctors who were working there, they were there were few of them were my colleagues. So they were able to tell me about the situation, and I were able to look after my father case throughout. I was reviewing his case from the very start. I knew what was happening, what kind of medicine that he's being given, what condition he is in.
Yeah.
So I told him that he told me that be calm and it's going to be all right. And I told him that just give me a prayer mat and I'm going to pray for a while. And I remember my mind was blank. I did not know what to ask for.
Yeah.
Like, is it the right time to let him go? Like, because
Yeah.
um, is it the
Yeah.
right time to not let him go? And I was thinking of all the things,
Yeah.
and also one of the things that I remember before that, because it happened after 1 week when he was hospitalized. So before that, I remember coming home and my lawyer called me, and he said he's a family friend, and he asked about the condition of my father, and he said that maybe it's the time that you start working on his papers and the property. And this is the thing that I've never done in my life. I have never touched anything or any property paper or any money from my father. So while I was working through those paper, through his will,
Yeah.
through his through his transactions, through his bank statements, I was thinking like, it was such a psychological burden. I was thinking like, is this it? Like, of all the years, and you always plan that my parents might be at my wedding, my parents might be there to see their grandchildren, and they might be there, like, of all the differences that you have, you still love your parents, right? And then I was thinking like, this is it, this is the time that we are going to go. And at that time I realized that this you do not care about the money, you do not care about how much you are going to get in will, you do not care about how much property or things your father made for you. It could be important for some people, but in this situation, the only thing that is important for you, that is that your parent or your anyone from your family do come
It's
back.
so hard. It's just so
Yeah,
hard.
yeah. The only thing that you might be needing or you might be thinking is that I want them back. This is not the thing that I want to do on their behalf. I had to, because my father has made me attorney in his absence, and he has these paper that if he won't be God forbid, if he won't
Oh,
be
he
alive or
actually
he won't be
prepared
here.
that. He actually had some papers before that already.
Yeah. He
Now
has
you
some
kind of
papers.
like need to like update and execute certain of the papers. Can I bring back to what you were saying? Uh, the doctors at the hospital ask you and your family to make some decisions to
Yeah.
have the ventilator or not. Taking away some of these very technical things about ventilators or not, but the decision about he or preparing your mind that it is almost like it's going to be
Yeah, it's letting
yes
go.
or
It's
no.
as the point that you
Uh,
have to let him go.
yeah, it's about yes or no. Do you prolong or do you say goodbye? Now that is like, to me, I mean, I've got no words to say. It's just like, it's your world. It's about life. It's about you at the gate of life and death. It's at the gate. You're at the door. Whereby you have to make, okay, regardless of God right now. I mean, when the doctor came to you and your brother and your family, they ask you, what's your decision? And this is thrown to you before you go to God, right? This is just thrown to you in a physical sense. It's almost like you are standing at the door to open or to close. Now tell us, you are saying that it's a burden. Tell us and describe to us this weight that is on you, your family. And I know it's not going to be easy because it took you, and then at the end of it, you ask the doctor, could you have another try? And then you operate. Now, before you do the prayer, before we go to the next question about that process, now when that question came to you, right? Um, to your family, uh, that wait, that you are the decision maker to open or close that door. What went through your mind?
Honestly, Vicky, I was so scared. I wasn't able to. I would have never taken any decision. I was so scared at the time. So my brother did tell me that don't tell mother that this would be thing with my father, and why don't you come alone? I did not have power. I did not. I was so scared. I remember becoming just 2 year old when you have to do when there's something bad happened, then you go to your mother, and
Yeah.
my mother was standing right beside me then because
You
she
can't
came
tell her.
yeah, so she came with she came from the hospital with me. So I looked at her face and I made a decision then, and I thought that she is the spouse because it was so hard decision that I might be selfish at that time. I did not want to take the burden of that decision on my arm, on my shoulders. It was such hard decision. So I turned to her and I said that I am going to tell you really hard thing that could be really, really hard. It could shatter you right here at the moment, but you have a decision to make about something. And she
Because
said
that's
that,
the wife, that's the your mom.
yeah. So I told her that this because by then we didn't tell our mother how critical is the condition of our father. We were
Yeah.
saying her that keep praying, he's going to be all right, but because we did not want to disturb her, because she's a very anxious person, she gets
She
she
needs
gets
to know the
anxious
truth,
really
right?
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I turned to her and I said that we have been telling you that the father, my baba, is going to be all right, what we say our father, that Abu is going to be all right, but it might not be the case now. I just received a call from hospital and they are saying that they have to put him on vent. So you are his spouse. If we do categorize, you are really close to him right now, even before me or my siblings. What is your decision? And
Mm.
I must say I appreciate how brave she was and how logical and intellectual she was at that moment. She looked at me and she said, "Okay, let us drive to hospital, back to hospital. Keep me updated what is being happening to him, and I'm praying, and the decision that I'm going to make is once I will reach hospital." So I said, "Okay." And then I wasn't, and my brother was calling me and he was updating me all the things, and I was telling her that this is happening, and she was really calm at the situation, and I appreciate her calmness at that moment because it was freaking me out, and I did not know how to act, and I wasn't acting as a medical person at all because you just start
Wow.
acting like a little baby, right? You start acting
Yeah.
like your father baby. So she was really calm, and even though she's not any person who's like she just has the doctor children. Other than that, she has no background in medical at
Yeah.
all. So when we went to hospital and she said that I want to talk to doctor, and the doctor came and he came off ER and he said that okay, ICU, and she said me that tell me step by step condition of what is happening. So he said that his oxygen saturation is dropping, he's not responding to this and he's not responding to that when we have given this and we have given that, and so that's why we have to put him in vent. And then she said me describe me what the vent procedure is like, and the doctor prescribe him what would be the vent procedure would be like. And she said that okay, to give me options that what could be done before went. And then I was standing there and I was listening, and doctor was describing her, and then I was able to describe them in a layman language for her. And then she looked at doctor and she said that okay, I have made my decision, you would be doing this before putting him on vent. And if it has come to vent and you think they're not, what do you say, that are there any chances? And the doctor said that see, if we are going to go through these steps, and I don't think so there might be chances of him surviving on the vent given his situation, because his lungs has collapsed more than 90%, 95%. She said okay, then we are not going on vent, go do these procedures, and if this is the end, then this could be the end. And she was so, I mean, she was really calm. She was really deep and calm, and I was like,
She was accepting that the life
yeah. And because of her, we
strength.
were able to gain back our conscious, when we were able to gain back our strength and realize, yeah, okay, if she is so
So
much
calm and
conscious and so
strong.
much calm in the situation, I need to think of, I need to calm myself as well. I need to make myself intact. I need to start thinking logically, because this is not situation to panic about. And gave me a lot of strength. So sometimes, even from the people, and this, my mother, she has a huge anxiety disorders. You tell her one thing, that okay mom, the act broke, and she is going to run to loo. She's going to run to
How old
bathroom.
is
She has this
she?
much.
How old is your mom and your dad?
Okay, my parents have, my father is 63, so they have a gap of 13 years. So my mother is 50 years old. Yeah.
Can I ask, like, um, the next stage? You asked for the prayer mat, and then you all prayed, right? Overnight, because you asked for a second chance. Like, can we just observe
So one of the
another
things that,
phase? Tell us
yeah,
about that.
yeah, sure. So before praying, one thing that I really want to mention is that how much family support is important. So while we were sitting at the hospital, on the way to hospital, and my brother had called all my uncles or my cousins that,
Wow.
this could be the time, and the doctor have said this. And do you believe that it was 12:30, 1:30 in the night? Yeah,
Wow.
1:30 in the night, and they
Yeah.
all came to hospital.
Yeah.
The kind of strength that gave us, I think that the blessing you realize when you have this much strong families in this condition. So I do agree that I do have a lot of privilege when it comes to this situation. It has made me think that a lot of people who might be going through this situation might not have this much privilege, having so much supportive family, having finances, having a background in
Yeah.
medical, and that's why a lot of people are scared from it. So
Fearful.
they all came here. They were like around 10, 15 people
1:30
who were,
a.m. Yeah.
yeah, and they all came together. They were sitting there, they were on call, they were just sitting there praying, and we were just sitting there praying as well. But the strength, that the kind of
Tell us
um
about. Tell us, because I'm not of the same faith. Tell us about, how does a Muslim family come together to pray, and what goes on during the process?
So we do have the first thing that you do as a Muslim is to make ablution, that is wudu, and it's just water, use water, or if you don't have water, then you use sand to clean yourself. It's a procedure that you do, and then you have a mat, or you do go to any clean procedure, and then there are few things that you do, that you stand, and then you pray to God. And in these prayers, that you keep reciting verses from Quran, or you keep reciting verses that has been told you by Allah or by Prophet, peace be upon him, or in the religious
Yeah.
scriptures. So you
Yeah.
keep reciting them, and it's just, these are in Arabic, because the Islam came in start from Arabs. So these are in Arab, but all the Muslims, they do know them thoroughly. They do know them how to read, and what time do you have to read. So you have verses that you know that you should be reading at the time of these times, when they are very crucial, critical movement. So we all are praying that, and then we have beats. So some people do read the beats, and other people do pray, and then there are some people who might go into prone position, and we call sajda, and that we go there and we weep and we cry and we pray. So if somebody might be familiar with how Muslim pray, it's the same thing that we do, but it's just the difference that now that we have to do it every 5 times a day, every day, in any
So at
circumstance.
that time when your families all came, and then you all decided to really pray and give your dad another chance, like, who was the one who said, okay, let's do this together, and is there a leader in the prayer, or was just a very
it was
normal
not,
situation
yeah.
that everybody prayed on their own, or is it like
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
or
everybody started
central?
praying on their own. Yeah, everybody started praying on their own,
Yeah,
because at that moment it was not a collective prayer, but everybody was
collective.
praying on their own. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do have somebody was praying while sitting outside ICU, other was praying in they go into mosque, the masjid that we say is a prayer place that we do have in Muslim countries or around the world where there's a Muslim community. So they went there and start praying. So they were all praying individually, not
Yeah.
together, but everyone was praying and everyone was,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, tell us
it's a,
about yourself. Tell the ladies and gentlemen, the viewers, tell us about yourself and your mom if you did have some interaction with her. What were you praying about and how did it come out? Do you have any, like you say, you did have some verses, or that was it a structured thing, or was it like, I'm
yeah.
just thinking at that point you are so emotional, right? And then you got to calm yourself down, etc. So I really want you to like tell us what went through during that process and how long did you take to pray, etc.
So I first prayed on the prayer mat, and there
Yeah,
is just rakat, two salah. It's called salah, and then there is a verses that we do, and one of my favorite verses from Muslim scripture is Hasbullah ni'mal wakil. That's Arabic, and if you translate into English, it does mean that you are my lawyer and you look into my case, and I have no one except you. This That's the meaning. It's simple as that. I have no one except you to help me through this and to take me out of this. There's no
okay.
one. So
So
it's very
how
simple.
long did you pray? I'm very sure you kind of like knelt down, right? You have your prayer mat. I know that this is like a lot of Muslims do in Singapore. So when you were doing that, how long did it take? And I'm sure like
You
even
don't
as a
for this,
daughter,
yeah, for this verse you don't have to sit on prayer mat.
yeah,
You can, just like I'm sitting, so I was just sitting there.
yeah,
You have to cover your head. So that's, I have my scarf,
yeah,
so
yeah,
you something like you just cover
yeah,
your
yeah,
head, or even if you don't cover your head, it's all right, because at the time you do not know how to act.
yeah,
So you just keep you
yeah,
just keep reciting, right?
yeah.
I was just reciting Hasbullah ni'mal wakil. There was nothing else that was coming to my mind, and this was the only prayer. And I love the thing about this prayer. It's very small, but it has all the meaning, because now you have failed. At this point, what can you do? Like,
Yeah,
what
what
could
can
be
you
done?
do?
So this is
Yeah, but
this is
during
going.
that period of time is crucial. Amir, you're talking about that line, right? You're talking about that line of life and death, and you're close to it, and your dad is actually at that line. Your mom, how was she holding out, and what did you comfort her? What kind of what did you I don't know, what was that dynamics that you described?
Now if I remember, though we were comforting, like I remember,
Yeah,
like my youngest brother is very young. He
yeah,
might be going to university this year.
yeah,
Like, he's not
yeah,
even 20. He just turned 18.
yeah.
So for a young child, or for a child who is like, he is really
18.
close to my father, and
Yeah,
he's so young. So at that time, I remember only comforting him, because he's really close to me. He's always see me as mother figure.
yeah.
And I remember my mother comforting us, and she kept saying us, that we are praying, and we have to pray with the belief that everything is going to be okay. And if you are a person of faith as well, you follow Christianity, and I'm a Muslim person, and we know in all the faith, in all any kind of religion that you
We
follow,
need to put you in
the
the faith,
only
the
aspect,
trust.
yeah, it's just faith. It's nothing. You haven't seen God, you
Yeah,
haven't seen
yeah,
anything. You just
exactly.
believe that there is someone above you
Yeah,
that is going to help you in these
wow, that's
circumstances.
really
Like,
powerful.
you like, you don't even realize, you're not even thinking about the fact, oh my god, that person died. If you're not thinking even logically, you're not thinking like that. Okay, so
Yeah,
if I
because
think of logical,
the whole
so
power of control is really taken away from all of you,
yeah.
all the doctors, and they even taken away from your dad.
No,
Tell us
I'm
about, yeah,
I'm
That the
saying
whole
that
power of control is no more in the hands of human beings.
and even there are people who might not believe in any kind of religion, and I don't know if what they might be thinking at these situations. They could be
Yeah.
thinking, okay, it's logical that his lungs have collapsed and he is, he's not going to survive. But when you believe in any kind of faith, when you believe in any kind of religion, the only thing that you have the power over everything is that you have faith in one person, not one person or one thing or one one superficial superpower. You just believe in that, and he is going to take me out of that. He or she or whatever you believe in, that is going to take me out of the situation, because I have no power. And then you
No
start
power.
realizing that you have no
Wow.
power on anything in life, right? And then you realize, like, if I am sitting here, like, I have no power even
We
then,
should have this
right?
dialogue to be promoted through the world, for world peace. So, Dr. Aiman, I want you to tell us, like, at which point in time you were told or you found out that your dad has crossed over that line safely.
So it was around 5 or 6 in the morning when doctor told us that he is, like, yeah, it was after 5, 6 hours, and doctor told us that he's stable now and
Stable.
we might go home. If you want to stay, we can stay in the hospital
I mean, he's
corridor.
stable and his situation has calmed down. That
Yeah,
means he
yeah.
is actually on, from, I should say that, what's the medical word, from critical stage or unstable, but yet
Uh,
still critical. Am I right to say that?
yeah, no, he just said there's, if somebody's listening to me and they might know what happened in COVID, is actually there is a storm of cytokines, right?
Yes,
It
yes, I heard.
erupts.
Tell us.
So it erupts, and the thing about cytokines is they are like PQs. They have, and they can hit. They can hit
Wow.
a tender point that this could be end of the patient. The patient could be like sitting
Wow.
just like that. There were
And all
cases
of
in
a
front
sudden they
of
just
me.
collapse.
They all of a sudden they're gone. You're losing them, and you cannot do anything about that. It's beyond your power.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like
I
that.
read about that.
So this was the condition. So when the doctor told us, so he said that the cytokines are there and they have started working. And at this point, you don't know what to do. Like, at this point, one of the cytokines might
Nothing
hit,
we can do.
and because his condition is so critical that we might
Yeah.
not be able to save him, because his lungs has already collapsed more than 95%.
Wow.
So let's imagine if
Wow.
one of the cytokines hits, he's not going to survive. He's not going to take it.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
then it is for the cytokine storm is for a very small period of time, but that
Yeah.
time is really critical. So even at that time, doctor cannot say anything. All that they can say is, we are not sure. Just pray, just
Yeah,
do
we are not
whatever,
sure.
just find your
Oh
solace
my
in anything
God.
that you do. At this point, we might not be able to give you any briefing or any answer of the fact that what could happen, right? So for I'm telling this for any person who might not know, like, because there were people who would tell me other time, and when I was working in field, they would tell me, like, our patient was just stable, like just 5 minutes before
Yes.
when you made him talk to
But
us,
five
he was
minutes
stable.
later, it
Like,
just
what
went the other side.
happened in 5 minutes? So this what happened in 5 minutes, that the
Wow.
cytokine hit them. And most of the time when these patients are in ICU and when they are in critical care or CCU, this is the fact that their system is not being able to take the cytokine, and then they collapse, and there's no way that we are being able to retrieve them back, or we are able to make them survive that situation. So yeah, of course, at that situation, even the doctors are so helpless. There's no medicine that can work at that point. There is nothing that can work.
Because it's
Um,
about the body's reaction. Yeah.
yeah, it's just
It's
how the
because
body's
everything
reacting.
is about the inside of the body's. So at
Exactly.
5 o'clock, the doctor told you the situation has stabilized. The psycho finds has actually like stabilized. Am I right to say that?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
will
yeah,
it come
yeah.
back again?
Yeah.
Will it come back again?
Sometimes they do come, sometimes they do come, and other time they don't. So you never know until and unless
Is
the
your
patient is.
so at that yeah. So to understand the situation of this COVID-19, does your dad also develop the antibodies at the same time to
We
fight
know,
this?
we do not know at this point. He might
Yep.
have, because I told you, like, he came from hospital just 15 days ago. So the doctor did give him few tests that we have to go through. So we would be going through those tests on Monday, and he was on the medication. So his medication would be ending in 2 days after that, and even after that, he's still on oxygen. He's still on 1 liter of oxygen. He is, alhamdulillah, restore, he is recovering from COVID, but still he's in oxygen. So there are a lot of things that are going to be cleared once we will have reports. So there are cases when people do have COVID, but they do not develop any kind of antibodies. There
Oh,
have been
not
cases,
everyone. I
yeah,
see.
not everyone do develop antibodies. Then they have to go to they have to go for plasma donors for the people who might have developed antibodies, and you have to inject them artificially within your body. So most of
Yep.
the time when people are really old and they
Yep.
might have immunocompromised problems, there could be
Immunocompromised.
chances that they do not develop antibodies. But even if you develop antibodies, so antibodies do end after 3 months. They do have a lifespan, so they do develop after 3 months. Also, in this condition, it's a very hard condition. Your body oxygen is lowering. The oxygen level is your body oxygen saturation levels are really low. So what happened that when you have low oxygen saturation level, your red blood cells start breaking. They start, like in accident, what happens when you get collapsed, a car get collapsed, you get hurt, you get injured. So this what happens start happening to red blood cells. So that's why patient is really feeling really weak. He's feeling drowsy all the time. He's
Mm.
lethargic. He's not
Yep.
feeling comfortable. He's always complaining about pain in the body. So what red blood cells, even if you are mildly ill from COVID, red blood cells have a lifespan of 120 days, and then they develop after 120 days in the body. So this could be huge chances that even if you are recovering from COVID, the red blood cells procedure has become low.
Yep.
And also the fact that it depends on how much oxygen you are taking, what kind of medication you have been
Yeah.
taking,
Can I ask
how is your
one
body.
question, just for myself understanding as a layperson, not medically trained? So your dad is now in ICU.
No, no, is he
So
is he's now home.
oh, he's home already. So he's
Yeah, yeah,
discharged from.
yeah,
So
he
that
is
means
discharged.
his body did went through the process of fighting
Yeah, yeah,
to recovery.
yeah,
I mean, it's like, oh my God, it's like how the battle in the
yeah,
body happens.
yeah,
Well, I hope to you to talk about the medical aspect to educate the people about this battle that happens inside the body when someone is being hit by a virus, COVID. But before that, I definitely want to tell you that this is so has really impacted my heart. It's like it's because it's so close. It's about you and your family. Um, a couple of questions. Your dad went through that ICU period. He was isolated. Um, and then when you all went to see him, you were in this PPE, you were had this social distancing, etc. Um, was he conscious? And
yeah.
and if he's conscious and he had understanding of everything, now that he's back, did he relate to you? What went through his mind during those period of isolation and him looking at you all as family in PPE? Oh my
Yeah.
God, it's like I can't imagine. You've got someone down there just like looking at you like a drama movie from the Hollywood science fiction that comes, you are the child, the children, the wife coming in to see what went through his mind. Oh my God. Tell
So,
us. Did he tell
let
you?
yeah, let me give you a bit intro. So, what happened that my father lost his hope. Somebody from the paramedic did tell him that you might have COVID. and he got scared. It was so much
Scared.
impactful on his psychology that he lost his hope.
Ecology.
So when my brother went in, he's a doctor, so he was on the team as well. So when my brother went in, he said that, somebody told me that I might have COVID, so I might not be able to make it. My
Oh my
brother said
God.
that, why are you saying this? And it's like, he said that, this is what happened when you get COVID above 60, you're not being able to make it. So at that moment, my brother did make a decision, and he said that, no, you don't have COVID at all. You had pneumonia. And he said, why are you wearing PP? He said that because we are coming to hospital and we are in middle of pandemic. So there might be people who have COVID and we don't want ourselves exposed to them. That's why we are wearing these PP. So, it was like completely like the way you said it was out of drama. Yeah. So,
It was something to protect his mind.
yeah. So when he
Oh
started
my God.
thinking, then he was thinking, oh, I just had pneumonia. And he said that if I just had pneumonia, then I might be able to survive myself. I might be able to survive. And my
To
brother
give
said,
his strength.
exactly. Exactly. He said,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So if you collect all your willpower and you are going to compose yourself,
Wow.
you are going to get out of the situation. And that made him so helpful. But
Yeah.
after that, and then we have to brief all the hospital, all the people who were taking care of him. And Vicky, when I'm telling you this story, people have to realize I belong to very upper class of the Pakistani society. Not a lot of people have this privilege. I had privilege from being upper class. I had privilege to be knowing the director and the
Yeah.
management of the hospital. I had a lot of contacts, and that's why I was able to do a lot of things for my father that a normal person might never be able, even they might never be able to do that. That's what has made broken my heart, and that has made me think on the fact that, what a normal person might be going through in this situation. But coming back to the topic, so we had to brief all the people all the paramedics and the doctors team that were taking care of him, that please do not say
Don't tell him.
that he have COVID. Just tell him he has pneumonia. And they were like, okay. So they would go to him and they would tell him that you only have pneumonia and you're going to be out of the hospital in no times and you are doing this good and
Oh
that.
wow.
Even when his condition was deteriorating, they would give him so much hope, and that gave him so
So
much
much
hope as
hope.
well.
Oh
So
wow.
my brother used to go to him, and the good thing about it that he was conscious all the time. So we were able to talk to him. He was able to remember us. He didn't have any memory loss, or he wasn't unconscious at point. So
Yep.
there might be patients who might be unconscious at this point of his condition, the condition he
Yep.
was going through. There are patients who go through coma, who went into coma.
Yep.
So there are other patients who go through an organ failure. So Alhamdulillah, for the blessing of God, he didn't have to go through any of these things,
Yeah.
and that's why we were able to go and talk to him. And the other thing and other privilege was that the two of us sibling are doctors, so we were allowed from the hospital to go inside in full PPE and meet him and to talk to him and to look after him. So this was one of the privilege that we had, and it totally gave him strength and hope. And he was very much, it just boosted his morale a lot. This thing boosted his morale a lot. So
Can I ask, Dr. Aiman, can I ask? Okay, so someone who has this collapse of the lungs, which is actually the number one, which is what the virus is all about. It just hits your ventilation, your respiratory system. Will the lungs recover?
Okay. So yeah, this is very important question that what if the people do ask. You never know until the person is on oxygen. You never know how much the lungs are going to recover. So once
Hmm.
the patient is being recovered from COVID, he is out of, he is not using any outsourced oxygen. Then you go through the X-rays, and then the X-ray do shows results that how much the lungs has deteriorated. Most of the time your body do have tendency to recover a lot of loss that has been there, but
But the
then
body is
there are
able to
sometimes,
recover.
yeah, if you have good diet, if you are a healthy person,
How
if
long
you do
will
not
that
have
take? Oh, that's
So
it.
that's what I'm coming to. If you are a completely healthy person who had healthy diet and who do not have any bigger medical history like diabetes or any immunocompromised diseases, that might be earlier for you, but it differ for every person. It differ on your age, it differ on your
Yeah.
socioeconomic background, it
So
differ what kind of,
individual.
yeah, it is individual. And so yeah, there might be exercises, there might be things that you can do, and it can help. But if like sometimes there could be scarring that happen on lung, so that is irreversible. But most of the
Yeah.
time, most of the things do reverse if you take care good of them. And of course, when I say that there are aspects that you cannot control within your body that happening, that is only controllable by
Yeah.
God or Allah. So
Yeah.
that's the part that even no doctors can answer, that how much recovery a person is going to
Yeah.
make in the procedure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But one of the
Yeah.
important
And
things that
yeah.
sorry, I'm cutting you off. One of the important things that I really want to mention, and
Yeah.
you do not come to enough data when it comes to COVID, that the patient psychology is being disturbed completely during this procedure. So my father developed COVID psychosis.
What's
So
that?
yeah, so COVID psychosis is condition when the COVID start hitting your neurological or
Oh,
system of neurons within your brain, and it start hitting your psychology. So it start disturbing you, the fact that if there might be people who might have underlying neurological or psychological disorder, it might hit them a little more harder. There might be people who were completely normal before that, psychologically or neurologically, they might develop these kind of symptoms. So they start acting crazy, they start shouting, they start um, panicking, they start talking loudly, talking in sleeps, they start doing a lot of things that is not being done by a normal person. So what was one of the things that happened to my father when he started developing COVID psychosis at the start of the disease? He would start
mm,
to throw his oxygen mask away. He would snatch and throw his oxygen mask away. So yeah, that was a really hard condition that we have to go through, because his lungs has already collapsed so much, and it had taken a really hard toll on our family, because we didn't know how to do them, what to do. So we have to convince him, we have to counsel him, we have to, like, beg him sometimes to please keep these oxygen masks on you, because he was conscious, and then it wasn't something that it was in control. The patient started out acting outrageously. They
I
were patient.
see. It was all in the
Because
mind,
yeah,
psychosis.
so I was working with a team of international doctors, and I was very lucky to have them on board, and I talked to them. So they prescribe medicines, they saw his conditions very closely, they were able to talk us through the procedure, so it gave us a lot of help. But I did see a lot of people in the hospital that they didn't have this kind of help,
Yeah.
and they were struggling with the patient. There were patients who were shouting, there were patients who were really angry, they were showing tantrums, they were doing all the things. And especially when you are going through a condition when you are already under so much psychological toll, and your patient is going through this life threatening situation, and then they start doing these kind of things,
Yeah.
and you do not know how to save them or how to not let them do. So he would while he was sleeping, he would suddenly stand up, and he would want to go and run away from hospital. So a lot of situation that did happen, and we did we were able to control them from medicine. But this is the thing that I want to say, that COVID do take a lot of toll on the psychology of patient, and
Wow.
then their
Also
families
the
as well.
family,
Yeah, for the
the
family as well.
family.
And it's more harder for the family, because they do can differentiate between right and wrong. At that point, the patient is not being able to differentiate between what is right for him or wrong. Like my father, his oxygen, he was like breathing less than 50%, but then he would snatch
Wow.
away mask, and he did not know
Was
this is
snatching away
something
the
that he's
mask.
going through, right? So his oxygen saturation was dropped even beyond 30.
Yeah.
And we knew what was happening to him, and we were under so much hurt, and we were in such pain. So yeah.
Can I
So
ask, as a woman, a couple of very personal questions, like you did mention that, you had all this training as a doctor, when this hit your family, you're just a child, you're just a daughter, to your parents, or just a daughter to your dad. And as a woman, what kind of strength you had to go through? I mean, this is really crashing on you, right? As a professional woman, it's really crashing on you. And as a woman, um, you know, it must have been really hard for you, to be also caring for yourself, and to be also caring for your mom, and your younger brother, and also be taking care of the family, because the family is such a close knitted a culture, on your side of the world, really, really close knitted. So as a woman, like, how do you draw your strength going through every day, going through the news? I mean, I now throw me back in times whereby I had to take care of my mom, really, really difficult times. So when you were a woman, and then you had to feel that, you had to take care of your mom, take care of yourself, and then did did you what went through, like, going through um, text messages, calling, and then the doctor's report, and what's happening today, and running to the hospital. I mean, it must be such a flurry of events, plus a flurry of emotions that come on. You as a woman, how did you hang on? Did I describe it
Um,
right?
Vicky, you know this, right? That in our Asian culture, we are being toughened up. We are not being appreciated to show our emotions, right? And when you are the eldest daughter or you are eldest child, it fall upon your arm or your shoulder that you have to be really strengthful. So I guess could be when we talk in normal times and we think that, oh my god, this is so hard for psychology, and it do make you, rough and tough, and then you're not being able to show your emotions. It could be so harmful for you. But I guess this was one of the thing in Asian culture that was able to get me through this. But no, if I talk about my psychology condition, I already have mental health issues. I have anxiety and depression, and I have type 1 bipolar. So it took a really strong toll on my mental health. But and then you are in condition where not you are not being able to tell your family anything. You have to gather all the strengths to look
Control,
after
yeah,
people. Do
yeah.
take a lot of toll on you, and now I am going through psychological sessions myself now because
Yeah,
it has hit me so hard, going through
yeah,
all the emotions that were really hurtful, that were really painful. And we do have a tendency, everything do we no matter how much we think that we are strong, and no matter how much we think that we can do everything, and then we do have a um barrier, or we do have a point where every one of us break down. So at that point, I remember I remember not being able to sleep for a month when my father was in hospital, and even then he came home, and it was really hard to go to sleep. You're always scared. So I did develop these symptoms where I realized that my heartbeat is, it's increasing, and I do have this certain fear. And I was always looking that if it's oximeter, how much the reading was an oximeter, how much is pulse. So yeah, you do go through these kind of emotions. They are really scary. They're really hard. But then again, you do find your strength from family. But I recommend everyone who goes through these periods, or the people who might be going through this, please go to your psychologist in these times, because you really need that kind of consultation. It's really, really hard. um and it do take a lot of toll on you, and it becomes so much scary. And there
exactly.
are, because other times, if you have a problem, you might be able to talk to your friends, and you might be able to talk to your spouse or
Yeah,
sibling. But these are the conditions that you cannot sit and talk to your mother or sibling or anyone in the family, that you might be losing your father,
because
right?
you don't
These
want
are
to
the
burden them further.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing. And this is a really good question that you asked, that it do impact you psychologically a lot, a lot. I cannot describe it in words, but it's really hard. You are always
Like,
scared.
now that your yeah, yeah, now that your dad is back, um, I would want us to continue these conversations about a few things on a personal level, what power you through every day. I'm very sure your faith played a really a big part, and also the medical part of it. That we have you on. It's such a great honor to have you to tell us about what goes on in the battle in the body in our next episode. Dr. Aiman, before you go, I would love our conversation to continue, but I would like to hold you back, and I'd like to hold on to the viewers because, you heard, ladies and gentlemen, you heard Dr. Aiman. She's able to articulate so well, so much clarity, with all the things that she has described, in such intensity, such clarity, and such calmness. And we invite her back, and that's her show on every Friday, 10 p.m. Singapore prime time, which is 7 p.m. Pakistan time, 9 a.m. America Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. America Central Standard Time, and 6 a.m. America Pacific Time. And I want all of you to share this video to get so much education from her about what happens, and also to hear about the story of life when someone is at that door, when you make a decision in or out. I can't imagine what went through in her mind in that drive that she was going to the hospital, and the conversations that she had with the family, and the conversations that the doctor had to break to them, make a decision. Dr. Aiman, I also like to share with you some things that you spoke. You have been speaking a lot, sharing with us. I also would like, as my heart of with a heart of thanksgiving, to share with you something I went through, which I seldom speak on. The last 2 days of my mom's passing, I was with my mom at home. I didn't have any help, and she wasn't at the hospital. And of course, the last two weeks, I didn't know that was her last 2 weeks. But because the situation was really weak, and also because I'm a person of faith, and that's why I think our conversation should go to the world. Because we're such diverging conversation, but there's so much similarities that we speak about. I'm just thinking that we're of the same faith, right? Of course, there's so much beauty in what we're talking about. In this pandemic, that people are sharing life stories, and what you just shared propelled me to share with you also. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but for the listeners and the viewers, and also to Dr. Ivan, I've not shared this at all. Because it's so hard for me to talk about it, and also because it's such a spiritual thing that I went through. I mean, meaning that it's just like you talked about at that point. There is nothing you could pray about, right? That point whereby you're making that for you made the doctors asked you to make a decision. And you told the doctor, let's give a little bit of time, one more chance. Like you are always like just asking God, like just give me one more chance. And I had a similar situation. My mother was actually with me in this house for the final 2 weeks of her life. Which of course I didn't know at that time that was the final 2 weeks. And because I'm a person of faith, I like what you said. We walk by our faith. We must have this confidence. So she was with me here, and I was taking care of her, like cooking for her, bathing her, taking her to the toilet, etc., wiping her and all this, like giving her that kind of encouragement and the love and all this. But in the nights, it gets tough. It gets really, really tough as the days went. And at that time, I was like alone. There wasn't any help because I was alone. She's my patient. I'm not a doctor. All right. That's why I need doctors, but because I'm not medically trained, I didn't know what was going on. I only had my faith to plow me through that weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, that was very difficult because her situation was deteriorating, and she's of course she started um, to lose her capacity, uh, like we take for granted, right? Taking care of herself and her dignity, like going to the toilet, showering, etc., and changing her clothes. So I was the one doing for her, and it gets tough because I didn't really get help, because me wanted to just power through. That's why I asked you a lot of questions. What went through your mind? Because a lot of things went through my mind. What was the thing that powered me through? I didn't have anything to power me through during those times, except for like, and every night, what I did was, just to share with you. I mean, this is the first time I share with anyone. Um, I actually literally just like kneeled down at my bed, um, where she was sleeping. I knelt down through the whole night, just clasping my hand and just like what you say, what is there to pray about? There's no words. There's no words. And I just called out like, God help me, God help us, God help us. And this is written in my book. I'm not sure if you've seen my book that came out. It's like it's just about um, God, please help me, please help us, please help us, and God give us time. You know, at that moment, that's why whatever you said kind of rings through me and echoed through me, because at that moment, when you feel and you know that everything is out of your control, that you have got nothing, you've got no power, there is nothing at all, right? I mean, it's like money, the things, everything that you were chasing about, it meant nothing. And what do you pray for? I mean, it's like, okay, just tell God, like, okay, just give us the help, just help, just calling out for help. You don't even like know what to pray for.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you don't know what to pray for, and you don't know how to pray for. And the words seem like too small. The words seem like not sufficient. And the word seems like powerless in the front of the um, uh, 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 enormity of life. You know what I'm trying to say? That enormity
Absolutely.
of life.
Yeah.
That you start to, you can't even talk about it. You can't even whisper about it, because that kind of diminishes the enormity of what you're going through. And I actually went through that silently. I didn't have anybody, because you know at that time my husband was away. Um, my other family members were away from Singapore. It was just me and my mom. And when I needed help, I did have some helper to come in like once a week or twice a week for an hour or two to help me out. But you know, you didn't want to really reach out for, you know that you can't reach out for
Yeah.
human help. Yeah. That's something that you spoke that I really want to share with you, that it speaks to me that, you know, during that time that someone goes through in the mind, you feel like words is not enough, words are not sufficient, words can't describe the enormity of the situation, the enormity that your world is now just made up of life and the other side of life, right?
Yeah.
And of course, my mom did go to the hospital on the final 2 days. She was there in the hospital. And just to also echo with you, like, she actually signed the papers. My brother actually signed the papers when she went into the ER, and then I came a little bit after that. But at that night, the first night I was with her, no, and that night I was with her, and just to share with you, I was with her. Um, of course, the doctor gave the morphine and all, you know, but the doctor told us that, you know, she's got only this number of hours, you know. But of course, in my mind, um, and with my faith, you know, I always thought that a miracle is going to come true, right?
Yeah.
A miracle is going to, of course, God has other plans. Um, a miracle is going to come through. Of course, the paper was signed already, and even though it wasn't like agreed among the family members, but that was another technical thing. But that night, and I wasn't a doctor, and everybody left, so it was in the middle of the night, about 10 p.m. Um, and I was about preparing to sleep because my mom was on morphine already and she wasn't able to talk and communicate. But the doctor just said that, she is still a little bit of conscious, just be with her, etc. And in my mind, like she's going to wake up and she's going to go back to home 1 month later. She's going to go through this. It's your mind, or it's your hope. Maybe she had other plans herself. Maybe she wanted to go. Maybe God also had the plans. So I don't know the deep questions, but that night, the meter, I don't know what you call it, but there's the monitoring thing with a lot of lines and all this. What do you call that? The monitoring thing that monitors your heart and all
Yeah,
this.
it's in the oxygen
The
machines and all
monitor,
this.
the machine.
Yeah.
And it started to beep for a long time. And of course, I didn't know, and I called the nurse, and the nurse came in, and the nurse kept quiet. And they adjusted the oxygen, right? And they needed to bring a doctor. And you know what? At that time, I keep praying that God just help us, just help us. God just help us. It was just me at the interface looking at life and death. You know what? When there was no one, it was just me and her, and the nurses were there, and it's just like me and her and God. It's like the kind of you're facing about this huge enormity, and of course, you just kind of, because we're talking about faith a little bit, about you praying so hard, and how that faith just powered your family through that night. That's why I'm sharing with you. It was, there's nothing on earth that can actually power you through. And I was there, and that was something that I will always remember. But it's really unspoken. But the nurses went out, and I was just like praying. I was just praying underneath my breath, like God help us, God help us, God help us. I was just saying that. And of course, she finally took her last final breath, and maybe she has taken it before that, before I noticed. That's why the meter went beep, because I wasn't medically trained, but I was still like praying to God help us, God help us. And of course, I held her in my arms, etc. And just to let you know, of course, I when the nurses came, and after a long moment, like 20 minutes or so, then it came on to me that she has already gone home to the Lord. She's already left for heaven. And I don't know. I'm not going to describe what went through me, but I told the nurse that yeah, she has left. And the nurses couldn't say anything. I think because they had to wait for the doctor's medical papers and all this. I held her in my arms, and then and then to tell her I love her, etc. But after that, the nurses came in. They told me that we need to do certain procedures, like tie her toes, to use that word, tie her toes, meaning that they're really gonna take this situation under management. So, but then I said that no, I'm going to be here with her, and then I changed her clothes. I told them that let me do it. So I did it for her, and the nurses were there. No, I said that let me do it because I know how she wants it to be done. So I actually did that, changed her, took her, the gown out, the medical gown out, the hospital gown, changed into her clothes. And then, see that they put her through a shroud, and then, just talk to her, etc. And do the final, just touch her a little bit more. And then finally, just, I mean, this is really, really hard, but really see it like let her be zipped up in the bag. You know, it's 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 that moment that people have not encountered. Is like, wow, you are at that moment of that life and that death. And can you imagine? It's like, what do people go through in the pandemic,
Yeah.
where people are going through this, the numbers are going through this, and I share this because like you went through that, and of course because with God's grace, that wasn't his time, you know, and pray that he recovers, etc. But I went through that myself, that emotional thing that actually was on me when I was alone with her for 2 weeks, and it was just between me and my mom. A helper who came in, and it was such a difficult moment for myself, and also the time whereby I prayed like what you did. That's why I could hear you. That's why I keep asking you the questions what went through, because it echoed me in my heart exactly. So now you hear me.
Yeah, yeah. It's so relatable. It's so relatable because I guess these are the times that make you realize that how low as a human you are, and how no matter how much you think that you are powerful, you have this privilege, you have this and you have that, you're nothing. Like there are certain moments that make you look through all of your life, and then you realize what I have been running after for so long. This could be me. This time that this is the reality of life, Vicky. These are the moments that make you realize that this is it. This is
That's
end of
it.
your life, and
Yeah,
it's not just it's just for them now.
yeah,
This could be us. We never know when.
yeah.
And yeah, I can totally understand, and I'm so really sorry for your
Yeah,
mother. God
yeah,
bless her soul.
yeah, and that's
But
why
um,
that's why you and I are again having such a very beautiful conversation, because you and I have gone through that, and that your dad, in a very some local colloquial terms or colloquial dialect, is that, you know, like your dad's life was snatched back from the jaws of death
yeah,
with God's grace. It was being snatched back. Now, can you imagine? It's like, as if people have gone through that enormity, it's just huge. It's just
yeah,
like you can't even use words to describe. And I hope that your dad, come back, strong, and then he's gonna write a story. He's gonna write and invite him to talk about life.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And then he can come on your podcast. Let's wish him well, and let's wish him strong, and not forgetting your mom, the powerful woman, who's the pillar of strength when things were like looking like it was going to collapse. Dr. Aiman, would you like to wrap this very deep conversation, such a huge conversation we have about life and the faith, and even though we seem dramatically different, but we're so alike. Can
yeah,
you? I
yeah,
can't even imagine that
yeah,
that we are sharing this conversation about life, and how it is, two of us of two dramatically different faith, but yet we call up to God, and yet we call up to the power of God when we had nothing, when we had nothing. Would you like to wrap this up? It's so beautiful. I would like all the listeners and the viewers to come back and share and reshare the video about this prolonged pandemic that brought Aiman from Pakistan and me in Singapore to talk about the prolonged pandemic, to talk about life.
yeah.
Would you like to wrap this up, Dr. Aiman, for the next 2 minutes?
So I think that while talking on this session about the prolonged pandemic, the one thing that is crucial and that we need to realize, and we are being able to relate, that in the end we are all human. And what one thing that can keep us going through this tough time, and these times
Yeah,
are really, really hard, critical. It could take toll on you. It could
yeah,
take toll on your family, less or more. We are all in this together in very close, similar situations, no matter which country, which religion, or which ethnicity you are in.
yeah,
in the end, we might be facing a lot of things that might be, same, and we could relate to each other. Be nice and be very courteous to each other. Try to understand that how you can give back. Try to understand how you can help people in these times, because these are times when we are marking a very difficult era of our century. It was in a past century when we were moving from one decade to another, and then the starting of another decade. We are still going through this pandemic. Even there have been vaccines available, even there are paramedics that have been working, the world is coming to lot stricter, a lot less restrictive circumstances. But this thing is on us and it's still there. So be very considerate of each other. Try to understand that what people might be going through on other part of the world, and be helpful in some way. Please be helpful in some way. This situation that I went through personally with my family, although I was doctor, although I've been working in the field and I've been working in the ICUs and intensive care, has made me realize that there is so much more that need to be done on so many different level. And every single person, either it's Vicky who is doing podcasts and telling people, educating people about this pandemic, either it's me that is being working in the field as the frontline worker, or it could be a person who's in business. Every one of us do owe to each other, being nice, being supportive, uh, create a community, bring people together, think about things and how you can respond back, how you can help your
Yeah,
community. It shouldn't be a very big thing, that like the thing
yeah,
you are doing it globally. You are interacting with so many people internationally. You are coming across, you are making people speak about the experiences, and you are talking about a lot of aspects that this pandemic has brought upon us. It shouldn't be something so much big. It couldn't, because not everyone do have that privilege. But even if it's something really small, even if it's something that do benefit one or two people just around you, just do that. Just don't sit and start and think that, oh, I might not be able to do that, because your one step, your resources, your help, um, even a small thing as moral support can make people go long way. People, if you're not in this situation, you might not have a person who would be going through this critical situation, or you might not have a family friend or any kind of related person who would be going through this. You might not be able to relate to this, but don't think that you couldn't, won't be one of the person that would go through this, because this is really hard situation overall. So yes, be start making yourself useful in some way, no matter how less resources you have. Start working within your means, within your resources. And every one of us has power. Every one of us has this thing within us that can make us help other people. So yeah, this is my message, and why I'm emphasizing on it so much, because now my perspective has changed so much. Be volunteer, go out, make groups, help someone financially, help someone morally, help us someone psychologically. But be very considerate. If it's this pandemic and these crucial and critical times are not changing you, that mean that you are a nasty person. That mean that nothing in the world can change you no matter what. So you have to think right through and give insight within yourself.
Dr. Ayman, and I think what we have done is quite a breakthrough. Even if it's just a conversation between you and I from Pakistan to Singapore, but we sharing a difference in faith. By having this love for each other, having this respect, and having this appreciation of each other's faith and what we go through, and also much more important, we actually are more similar than different. As humanity, can you imagine? And I mean, the beauty that came out of this, if people can see and appreciate, and if the world should emerge out of this pandemic, in whatever form, whatever kind of normalcy we call it, it should be a much more tolerant world, a world that is more tolerant, a world that appreciates diversity, a world that understands humanity as one much more than before. I mean, this is like a huge education a huge slap in the face of humanity that, you people better wake up. There's so much more love that is undiscovered, so much more appreciation, respect, and similarity amongst the people. I mean, like what you say, your dad, I'm very sure I want to wish and pray for him that he comes out of it strong and recovers and get, full capacity of the usage of his lungs again. And for me to wrap up, Aiman, I have during the Singapore lockdown in April, and my banker is HSBC, and she's what's her name, Shahira, right? Shahira, and she's Muslim herself, but you can feel her fear in her voice when she was working from home and she's got her kids, It's like, because we were thrown into such an unknown, especially in 2020, where people were trying to adjust, but the thing about Singapore is that, we've got so much love and respect for differences and diversity, and because I could hear the fear in her voice, I prayed for her, and the thing is that she accepted it graciously, and I said, let me pray for you. Let me pray for you and your child, because she's got a child that is 6 and another that's 9 years old, and at one point she had to send them to school, and she was like so afraid while she was working in the home, and she was able to work from the home, but the child has to go back to school. Can you imagine the fear of a mom? I prayed for her and she accepted my prayer. I made my prayers, and I think in this pandemic, I think beauty has come out of it for certain people, and I think our job is to really like spread the word around. And the next time when I called her, she was like so eager to answer my call, because she said, "Oh, Miss Esther," Then okay, I want to pray for you, and she was waiting for me to pray for her. Because I could hear it, like she needed help, as not as physical. There was nothing anyone can help. I mean, is there anything I can help you there? Is there anything you can help me here? I can't, because we're all social distancing, right? Yeah, we can give a little bit of charity here and there. The government is helping in terms of monetary wise. But I think that uplifting of someone, a prayer, a good word, an encouragement, I think that goes a long way. And especially, I think even in times like these, we are so different, and we are so diverse, and we are so far apart, but yet we are so similar. I think the message of what we do right now in a prolonged pandemic, and in the conversation we had with Dr. Aiman and myself for the last 1.5 hours, if anything has come out of this conversation, I think through our conversation, I think we have shown the world that there's a lot of appreciation, a lot of love, and a lot of understanding and respect for this diversity and this difference. What do you think, Aiman?
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. Um, s- s- I'm speechless. This is the time that has brought us so close, a lot of people so close, and they have been able to look after each other. They have been able to take care of each other, and this is humanity that you want to believe yourself in. This is the thing that you want to see. This is the thing that you want to listen and listen for hours, and believe that it's going to make you go through these bad times, because these times are really hard on some people. People have lost their jobs, people have lost their loved ones, people have lost their mental health. There are so many things that are at stake, but then you listen to these kind of stories, and it gives you so much inspiration, it gives you so much power, that things are going to be okay, and there are good people around world that care, that
Something
do
goes,
want to be part
yeah,
of
it's, yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
No, I mean, I just want to thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen who are tuning in, I just want to repeat, from the people of South Asia, the show with Dr. Aiman, 10 o'clock Singapore time. Please tune in. We're going to talk much more deeper and deeper conversations to share with the world. There is so much love in diversity. There's so much love in differences, and love and appreciation and respect. And this is the time where all of us are in isolation and in lockdown. We spend the time to talk to each other. We spend the time to hear each other out, and we spend the time to understand each other. I think this is a time whereby we are given this opportunity by the universe, that reflection, understanding, appreciation, thankfulness, gratitude, for our lives and for the people around us. Thank you so much, Aiman, Dr. Aiman. We will come back and we tune in again. Such an amazing show that we have got. Come on, let's give both of us a round of applause. I can't believe it. This is just
It was really good,
unbelievable.
and it was amazing. It's always amazing coming back to your show, and there's always so much interesting topic to talk on, and it's always feel like second home, right? I do my podcast and then I come to your podcast so often, so I love being here. And yeah, we
Thank
are going
you.
to be here every Friday. And thank you so much for having me, Vicky. And I was able to share my experience. Do subscribe
Please,
to Talk
please,
About Life, and it's been
please.
amazing. Yeah.
Please come back, and this is your show. Whatever you shared with me, it's so precious. Thank you for sharing it with me and with the audience. And I echo it so much. That's why I wanted to share what went through me, and that very difficult time that I had, which is going to be imprinted with me. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank Dr. Aiman and give Aiman a big pat on the back for the work that she's doing. And please give her the power, and the power to her family, power to her dad for full recuperation and all the best. So make sure when we come back, right, your dad is already up and going, and then we're gonna bring him on the show one day,
Yeah, yeah,
and he's
definitely,
gonna tell us, "Hey, Vicky, I'm gonna tell you and your audience, you guys better wake up and back up."
yeah. Inshallah, inshallah. Most
Okay,
definitely, most definitely.
let's also give your mom and your dad the round of applause for being there.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yes, I really
Thank
thank you
you.
so
All
much,
right.
Rajat.
Please send my warmest regards from Singapore to your mom and your dad, to your family, your brother and your sisters, to you and the
Yeah,
people of Pakistan and South Asia.
yes. Bye
Okay, see
bye.
you
Take
next
care.
week. Bye. Wonderful episode. I can't believe it. It's so
Yeah.
unbelievable. Bye.